across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Three minutes past 6. Is it me? Or is it too bloody hot? Phew, what a scorcher. Top of the morning, happy Saturday, one and all. Of course, it's a bank holiday weekend. And your weekend starts here. Lovely to have your company. We've got lots of big, important stories to get through. But can I also say happy bank holiday weekend, because it's been a tough year. It's been a tough few years, hasn't it? The sun's out, the guns are out, and I think we're going to have some fun this weekend. So what are your plans for the bank holiday weekend? Let's have some fun this morning. Tell me what you're up to. Will you be frequenting your local beer garden? Enjoying a seaside B&B? Are you going to take that caravan or a motorhome for a spin, or are you jetting off somewhere? What are your plans for the bank holiday weekend? 0344 499 1000. I'm determined to have some fun this morning. But unfortunately, this government are making that very difficult, because breaking as we come on air, Labour's tax raid on the Great British Holiday, as Rachel Reeves clubs Brits to the tune of £300 for a UK staycation. You heard me right, folks. If you make the foolish decision to take a holiday in your own country, if you're that mad, if you're that deranged, £300 you'll be paying a price for. I've had enough. You heard me right. Labour's raid on the Great British Holiday as the Chancellor clubs Brits to the tune of £300 for having a holiday in your own blinking country. With holiday destinations, you know, hotels, bars and restaurants in the UK, with them struggling, is this the final nail in the coffin for British hospitality? Can you afford to have a holiday in your own country? Meanwhile, Labour's political beauty contest turns ugly as Burnham and Streeting face off. But if the Mayor of Greater Manchester makes it to number 10, will he make a blind bit of difference? Is he Starmer 2.0? What do you think of Andy Burnham? Is Andy Burnham the real deal? Can he save Labour? So, two big questions for you this morning. I want to know what you're up to this weekend. You may be working, whatever you're doing, give me a call, 0344 499 1000. We will have some fun today. I'm determined. And what do you think of Andy Burnham? Tell me your views. Are you living in North West? Have you experienced his excellent leadership? Or is he more than he's cracked up to be? What about Andy Burnham? Will he make a blind bit of difference? Is he Starmer 2.0? Can Andy Burnham save Labour? 0344 499 1000. Rory is taking your calls today with that lilting Irish tone. Dave the engineer is pressing the buttons. I'm delighted to say that we are winning our battle with TalkSport for Dave the engineer's services. I had showdown talks with Jeff Stelling and Adrian Durham this week, and it's a battle that I'm winning. So Dave the engineer is pressing the buttons. That guarantees a magical show. Speaking of which, our executive producer, the incredible Dean Spencer, is with us, booking the best guests, choosing the best stories. He's even got a suntan. And he's energised from an afternoon in the beer garden yesterday where, let me tell you, he was working. Yes, he was. He was working hard. He was booking the show in the pub, writing scripts in the pub, deciding the best stories in the pub, which got wackier as the afternoon went on. Brilliant, brilliant Dean Spencer, and directing our TV output, the boy wonder that is Luke. So if you want to see the show, head to YouTube, search Talking Up We Pop. Many, many people are now watching in record numbers. Last Saturday, we broke all records here on Talk for live viewing on YouTube. Find out why. 7 minutes past 6, 03444991000. What are your plans for the bank holiday? Do tell me. And is Andy Burnham the real deal? Can he save Labour? 03444991000. Text the word talk in your message to 87222. Leave us a voice note because we love a voice note. And as the saying goes, let's talk. And we'll kick off with the front pages and lots of stories to get through. The Daily Express, rape gang victims says police and other officials should face a criminal inquiry. People need to explain why they did not act. I'm really glad that the Express are indulging in such important journalism because establishment media ignored the rape gangs scandal for years and years and years. Then they reluctantly covered it, and now they think it's gone away again. Well, I am very close to a top lawyer in the northwest of this country, and he told me that the grooming gangs, as they are, of course, abbreviated, they are rape gangs. He told me that the problem is as bad as ever, and he's estimated that 250,000 girls have been abused in the last couple of decades. And he said it's as bad as ever, if not worse. So it's really good journalism of the Express to be looking at this. Just remember how reluctant Keir Starmer was to have a national inquiry into one of the greatest scandals in the history of this country. So people need to explain why they did not act. That's an interesting idea, that the police and other officials should face a criminal inquiry. Well, we know of stories of young girls at the scene of the crime who have been horribly attacked, and they're the ones that get arrested, and the cops decide, oh, she's drunken and disorderly, or she's a prostitute. I beg your pardon, 13, 14 years of age, a child cannot be a prostitute. And did you know that a child cannot consent? And our thick, meat-headed police officers didn't get the memo. Why? Because of political correctness. It is disgusting. And that is why I'll always use this platform on Talk with my massive audience on the radio, online and on TV to call out the madness of political correctness. Because it is political correctness that ignores the racially aggravated nature of the grooming gangs. Because the girls were victims because they were white. And the perpetrators were predominantly Pakistani Muslim men. So race is not just something that you acknowledge. It is central to the crime, central to the investigation, and central to the pursuit of justice. And what did the cops do? Look the other way and arrest the girls. Make it make sense. And it's the same with the local authorities. And it's the same with the MPs. I've got to say the vast majority of whom were Labour MPs. Why is that unsurprising? Well, because they are so woke and they are so politically correct. But if you look the other way and are worried about community relations, and if you're engaging with community leaders, what the hell is a community leader, Dave the engineer? This is the United Kingdom. What in God's name is a community leader? There should be no such thing in the United Kingdom as a community leader. We have a community leader. It's called a Member of Parliament. A community leader is the head of the local authority, the councillors. A community leader is the Prime Minister of this country. A community leader is not some cleric at a place of worship. That is not a community leader. That is not the United Kingdom. And yet it was now ever thus. It turns out that's how our local politicians, particularly woke Labour politicians, are handling this. And they ignored the crime of the grooming gangs because of community relations, because of political correctness, and allowed white girls, predominantly young white girls, to be raped en masse in an industrial capacity. And yes, number one, it's the perpetrators, of course. And as far as I'm concerned, lock them up and throw away the key. Anybody that's participated in that crime, I'm happy for them to spend the rest of their life in jail. Why shouldn't they pay for the rest of their lives, given that they have destroyed the lives of those girls who they drugged, abused and attacked, and who conducted those crimes and still do with impunity because of political correctness and community relations and relations with the community leader? What in God's name is a community leader? There should be no such thing as a community leader in the United Kingdom because it's a bloody democracy. So some cleric shouldn't be this figure of political influence locally. This cleric shouldn't be a powerful figure that the police have got to pander to, and local politicians and all the rest of it. You have your elected folk and they have the power, not local religious figures. I'm so angry this morning about it, but why wouldn't I be? With 250,000 girls attacked in what is surely one of the great scandals in the history of this country, the 2,000-year-long history of this country, the grooming gangs, which has happened in the last 100 years, and in particularly the last 50 years because of mass migration, is surely up there. Anna in Surrey, good morning, Mark. They're not grooming gangs, they're rape gangs. Up to 25 Muslim men took children, held them prisoner and then gang raped them. Every time a man can't bring himself to use the correct terminology, he continues the cover-up. Women and children use the word rape because that's what happened to us. We are not groomed. Anna, you're so right about that. And I'll be honest with you, there's only one reason why I don't use the R word so much, is it's a very strong word. And Talk Breakfast is a family show, and this programme is massive now. I mean, it's unbelievable, isn't it, Dean? The numbers we're doing are wild. I'm not even joking. It's quite extraordinary what's happening here on Talk Breakfast, and I want to thank you for that, because this show is nothing without you. I think the show is massive for a reason. A, my brilliant team, led by Dean, but also because we go after one thing. What is the North Star of this show? What do you think gets me up in the morning? What do you think keeps me going across 4 hours of live broadcasting that other people couldn't cope with? Piers Morgan couldn't handle that. Forget about it. Jeremy Vine, good luck. Who are those people on This Morning? I don't even know now. Ben Shepherd. 4 hours of live broadcasting, forget it. They got no chance. And a Dolan's Dispatch, they haven't got it in them. They couldn't manage it. They couldn't manage one. But there's one thing that really gets me going and gets my team going as well. And it's 2 words for you: the truth. That is what gets us going. So you're absolutely right, Anna. They are the rape gangs. I just call them the grooming gangs when I'm using the expression a lot, because it's Talk Breakfast and this show is on in the kitchen and it's in the car and it's Saturday morning, you're taking the kids swimming. So that's my reason, just so you know. That's why I will, of course, we can use that term, and we should, because that's what the crime is. But if I'm saying it a million times an hour, then I'll go grooming gangs, but you know what I'm saying. Anna, I hope that's acceptable. Do let me know. Reply to my message if you can, and I'd like to know what you've got to say. Rachel Reeves' holiday tax. Jeff in Sheffield, good morning, Mark. With this crazy tax you mentioned on holidays in the UK, is Labour trying to do all it can to ensure nobody votes for Burnham next month? You're absolutely right. What they've done is ramped up the unpopular policies in order to keep Burnham out of the House of Commons. Right, so 2 questions for you today. What are your plans for the bank holiday weekend? Because Dean and I have decided we're going to have some fun today. So what are your plans? Are you going to jump in the car? Are you going to go down to the coast? What are you up to? Are you going to stay home because you're so blinking skint? Many people will just stay home. They'll go to Tesco or Sainsbury's or Aldi and they'll buy a 4-pack of cronies and just watch the football and relax at home, and there's no crime in that. But whatever you're up to, let me know your plans. And also, Burnham, is he the real deal? Can he save Labour? Is he the answer? Or is he just Starmer 2.0? You see, so many people in radio are afraid of silences. Dave and I are not. We are not afraid of a silence, because sometimes I'll make a point and I don't want to be immodest, but it'll be so good, it's worth a silence. You see, the best broadcasters earn those silences. I'll tell you someone that will never be silenced, and it is Boz, who's left us a voice note.
Morning, Mark, and the breakfast team. Travelling Boz here. Well, you know, I used to like going travelling, but obviously it won't be in the UK anymore because by the sounds of it, it's going to cost a fortune. So I was thinking of going for a one-day trip over to France and then come back on a dinghy and see if I could get a hotel somewhere. That'd be handy. As for the Burnham, listen, the geezer's a shyster. He's a Russian doll. You open a Russian doll up of Starmer and you get Burnham. They make no difference. They're even, I think they've got the same glasses. It doesn't matter who you put in there. It's still the Labour agenda. And that's the one people got to vote out because it's a farce. Let's hope in Makerfield he gets beaten and he goes riding off back to Manchester on his horse, the King of the North. Don't make me laugh. Have a good one.
Boz, thank you for the first voice note of the day. And I've got to say, we love working with Dave Rhodes, the engineer on this show. And I'm fighting a disgusting battle with TalkSport for his permanent services. I've had showdown talks with Adrian Durham, Jeff Stelling and Ray Parler this week over drinks, and I'm winning that battle. And one of the things we love about Dave is that he's very hot to trot on the voice notes. So get those voice notes coming and Dave will process them. We'll get them on the radio because we exist, and the telly, of course, to put your views on air. Boz, you're a genius. That really made me laugh. Boz's idea for a cheap British holiday is to come here on a dinghy. Well, what a great idea. It's so true. Come here illegally on a dinghy and you'll be at the Holiday Inn Express or perhaps a DoubleTree. Is that what it's called? Double day? And you'll have a lovely time. You'll get pocket money and a mobile phone. That is the way to go. 3 meals a day and a dentist. What's not to like? And then Boz says that Andy Burnham is a Russian doll. So essentially what you do, you've got Starmer, then you open the doll, then there's Burnham in there, and then inside that is probably Miliband. And they are all the same. Folks, what do you think? Is Andy Burnham the real deal? Can he save Labour? What are your plans for the bank holiday weekend? And Rachel's holiday tax. Discussing all of those things in the company of the genius that is Steve N. Allen, one of the country's finest comedians. That's next. It's 6:19 Talk Breakfast.
The Crown is facing its gravest test in decades, and the royal tea from Talk is your front row seat. With royal reputations under pressure and probing questions about public trust, we unpack every twist and revelation with the biggest names in the business. From the throne room at Buckingham Palace to a mansion in Montecito, we follow every royal ripple. Never miss a moment of The Crown in crisis. Subscribe to the Royal Tea from Talk on the app or wherever you get your podcasts.
got some breaking news here. The Crowborough Army Training Camp could hold male asylum seekers all the way until 2030.
Good.
After the Home Office claimed it would only be for 12 months. Not much ambition involved in that, is there, in terms of solving the migrant crisis?
Absolutely, and the way that the Labour government gaslit the public when the migrants...
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
You are listening to Talk Breakfast. I've got to straighten my tie because this is a national broadcast with crazy numbers now. Thank you for your support. Thank you for joining us in your tens, if not hundreds of thousands. It's now 23 minutes past 6, I should say. Bruce, good morning, Mark. What are my plans for the bank holiday weekend? Working, of course. 4 15-hour shifts starting today. Bruce, can I thank you for your contribution to the unstoppable powerhouse that is the great British economy. Let's have some front pages. The weekend UK heatwave set to break spring record, leaving Africa and the Med in the shade. Daily Star, tribute to holiday show star Chalmers. Wish you were still here, Judith. Judith Chalmers very sadly passed away at the age of 90. The Daily Telegraph, £300 tax on your summer staycation. Local mayors seize on new powers to charge overnight visitors hundreds for holidays. Daily Mail, Burnham plots new tax raid on Middle England. Would-be Prime Minister vows to overhaul council tax and impose fresh levies on undertaxed land. The Guardian, UK seeking single market for goods, but EU says no. With me live in the studio, one of the finest practitioners of comedy in the land, Steve N. Allen. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. With an intro like that, I'll always keep coming back.
Always.
Yeah.
Well, it's not the budget,
Sweet
is it? It's not the budget. And
it's not the coffee.
It's not the talkTV coffee, which is not the finest. Listen, you are. It's great to see you. I know the country's in the red. I realise we're broke and we've got to pay for public services, but I was horrified to see this headline in today's Daily Telegraph, £300 tax on your summer staycation. It's a problem, isn't it, Steve? Because it ought to be the cheapest option to go on holiday in your own country. What should happen is, if you've had a good year and you've made a few bob, you're like, do you know something? Let's go to Spain. Let's go to France. Let's go to America. You could also say, I've had a tough year, I'm going to holiday in this.
Yeah.
I would argue it's more expensive to go on holiday in the UK than many parts of Europe.
We are a very expensive country, aren't we? I mean, the idea that you do a staycation, what you drive there, well, with our petrol prices, so already the government's making some money on VAT and duty on that. So they're doing better. Because of the cost of living crisis, anything that they get VAT on or duty on, they're getting a bigger absolute figure because they've got a proportion of a bigger number, right? So they're already absolutely raking it in. I honestly thought we were seeing the tide turning. So a couple of days ago, there was the announcement of VAT cut from 25 to 5% or whatever it is, 20 down to 5% on kids' meals. It makes about no difference. Mathematically, you know, no one's really going to be like, oh, I was going to have a terrible year, but the VAT on the kids' dinners down the old TGIs or whatever has slightly changed. However, the government said that it will also help business by increasing footfall. And so you thought, wait a minute, they've understood that if you don't tax things as much, more people do more things, and you warm up an economy that way. That's good, isn't it? Like, let's look at areas where we can reduce tax to get people out the front door and spending, and then the whole stupid thing goes round. This is how it works. That's the opposite of it. If you slap 300 quid, and I know it's not the government doing it, the problem is you've given powers to local areas to then tax tourists. But if you tax tourists, you'll get fewer tourists and you make less money from tourism. I thought we'd started to see it. It was this week where I thought, hang on, I think they get it. I think they understand how this basic works. And look, of most of the people who sit here, I might be the most persuadable to have a little bit of tax and spend, but it has to be the absolute minimum. I want something that is the most efficient it can be.
Tax now feels like the default, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, but it's the dumb default. Like, I know, let's tax tourism. What do you think's going to happen? There'll be less of a take of tourists, but then you get less money. All this, look, I don't understand where they think the money's going to come from then. They'll be taxing people who are put off the idea of going to spend money, so you don't get as much tax in.
It make sense. And the other issue we've got is our very, very treasured hospitality sector is going to suffer further, because if going on holiday in the UK is more expensive, what's going to happen is one of two things. Brits simply won't holiday at all, and they'll stay home and maybe they'll have a few sausages on the barbecue and a couple of cronies, which, you know, probably you got these new. Are you familiar with these pint cans now? Of beer. No. It's amazing. You can basically you have a can and it's an entire pint.
Wow.
And
the technology they've got these days.
I don't know if you've tried them, Dean, but like a 4-pack of Kronenbourg or Stella Artois for a £5. So what people can do is stock up on a few beers and some nice food, great stuff on the telly. You got your Netflix. So people will either not go on holiday at all, or they will go abroad. How is that a win for UK hospitality?
It's so not, is it? Again, simple maths. Look, it's great that we could have holidays abroad, but if you get more people doing it here, then our economy benefits twofold on the spending and the taking, all this.
Good point.
But I half joked about the petrol, but it's probably still something like 25 quid to get the cheapest flight somewhere, isn't it? You can't get that far down the road for 25 quid with petrol these days. You certainly can't get a train anywhere for 25 quid. So it will be the cheaper option to travel abroad. And it's often the cheaper option to be abroad because we're a very expensive country. So look, that problem was baked in, but then you slap an extra 300 quid on top. That's not going to be made up by the VAT that's been removed from museums.
Not really.
What's your museum spend this year? Probably not enough to make that money back.
Yeah, I mean, pint of Kronenbourg in your own living room versus museum.
You're obsessed, man.
Well, I tell you what, I do. I definitely, and I shouldn't have had any before I came on air, but what are you going to do? I'm only human. I'm joking. So look, and yet the issue you've got is that if you take a holiday in the UK, you're going to face, you know, up to 300 quid's worth of taxes for staying in a pleasant place like Cornwall. You'll be staying in a hotel that's had to put up its prices because of inflation, which has affected their business model, red tape, the hike in the minimum wage, and the national insurance tax rate that they've somehow got to cover. Who's going to cover that? The tourist, the visitor. So it's really just a race to the bottom, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. You're half right. Who covers the cost? The tourist, other than the option of not going. And that's what's going to happen, isn't it? It's not as though everyone is going to go and do these staycations and pay more. There'll simply be fewer people doing it. So the cake is smaller. They've managed to shrink the cake. That's not a political slogan that you're used to hearing. But that seems to be what's happening. And I know some of the economic problems that you've just listed aren't the doing of this government, but some are. And I'm sure they could help us out. I keep ranting on about this all the time, but with petrol prices going higher, they, instead of trying to pretend that they're helping us out by freezing the tax, the duty increase, which is like saying we were going to rob even more from you, but we're not going to up the amount we're taking from you. Isn't that a help? No, it's not a help. You're still doing just the badge of work. It's like a mugger saying, I was going to have that watch as well, but I'll just take your wallet. Where's my thanks? No, you don't get thanks for it. They get their duty on a bigger number because now petrol is more, so they could actually give us some duty back. They could lower it a little bit and they'd still end up with more money than they budgeted for, and we'd think, aren't they nice? Don't they understand how economies work?
I try to appeal to my friends on the left, and I try to convey, Steve, the progressive left-wing case for economic growth.
Yep.
Because my suggestion would be probably the Blair model, which is that you keep taxes down to an almost Thatcherite level, you love bomb the City of London, and as a result you have huge national income, which then you can give to poor people, which you can invest in public services, you can give the police officers and the nurses a pay rise, you can invest in infrastructure. I think there is a strong progressive left-wing case for economic growth. But unfortunately, my view is that the clearest pathway to that is lower taxes, which is ideological anathema to the left.
Yeah.
Riddle me that.
But
sort it out, Steve.
I do sort it out every time. I don't know why people don't listen to me, Mark.
Fix it.
I've got the answers.
Go.
And no one replies to my emails. No, it's if we rebrand it as efficient taxing. I mean, look,
you're not writing Kier@number10.com, are you? Because it doesn't work.
Is that not the one?
No. That is actually a chat room in Thailand.
Do you know what?
And don't go down that rabbit hole. That's why I've had no sleep last night.
That explains the pictures. And also, now I know
I'd just like to send my best wishes to Juanita.
Yeah.
She's a good girl.
Now I know.
Actually, she's very naughty.
Now I know what they call it, a rabbit hole. 3 attempts to get that joke in, Mark. You were right to nearly stop.
Can I tell you, it was worth it was worth the wait. And what we'll do in the edit, we'll cut all my rubbish straight to your joke.
Well, yeah, that's what
just
she
like
does
mock
as well.
the week.
We need to rebrand it as efficient, don't we? Because actually, it's what I mean. If anything, I'm probably one of the biggest lefties you'll get in here.
You're so woke.
I'm so woke, but I thoroughly realise. I also did some economics at university, which is ruins you, doesn't it? But the centre left is nearer to the centre right than it is to the far left. If we could just admit that, so you actually can say, oh, some of these slightly Tory policies doesn't make you a bad person. I've never kissed a Tory. You don't need to have that dumb mindset. I've snogged loads of Tories, and you know what? Pretty darn good.
Most definitely, yeah.
Never kissed a Lib Dem, just couldn't find one. That's the problem.
Back to your rabbit hole. What's the story there? Did you ask permission?
It's
Tell me about your marriage.
Special Alice in Wonderland branding that I go for. So this, you can rebrand it as being efficient taxing, because that way, it's efficient tax and spend. Tax is always bad, but it only works as part of two sides of the coin. The spend is the only good side to it. Tax will always slow down an economy. Spending can help it. You just need to aim really well with where you spend it. So we do need to be more efficient. If people don't massively need it, then you've got to move it to areas where it is massively needed.
Well, definitely. And just briefly before the break, if you look, and the left always cite countries like areas like Scandinavia and countries like Denmark, Sweden and Norway for the extraordinarily high quality public services they have. And they mention that there's a higher tax burden and the public services are great. That's true, but the bit they're forgetting is that all of those countries are incredibly rich too.
That's what you need.
Per capita.
Yeah, don't shrink the cake.
They are rich countries, so the higher tax is only half the story. And I would say, and let me know if folks you disagree, but I think my viewers and listeners would be more comfortable with the high current rate of taxation that we're now facing if public services were better. Problem you've got, highest tax burden since the war, and yet good luck seeing a GP.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Good luck finding a place in that local really good school for your kids. Good luck. I mean, the biggest one of all, the holy grail, is a dentist. I've not seen a dentist in years.
And that explains a lot.
I do look like a character from Life is... What is it? Was that show Life is Tough or something like that? Channel 4 show? I'm down to my last tooth. But seriously, that's the thing. People wouldn't mind the higher taxes so much. If life here was great, it ain't.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. And if it's too expensive to have a terrible system like this, then you've got to change. You've got to improve. You've got to grow. Don't shrink the cake. That's my new motto.
Nathan in Perth says, good morning, Mark, and good morning, Big Steve.
Hey, what?
That's a bit harsh, isn't it?
Look, we've all gained a little bit of timber recently. Nothing wrong with that.
The problem Steve N. Allen's got is the body mass has expanded, and it's because he's discovered that you now have... So literally, it's a whole pint in a can.
Yeah.
Nathan... Top of the morning to you, lovely to have your company. Great show. I live in Scotland, where the SNP thought it was a good idea to tax you to the hilt. They now tax motorhomes for visiting. I can get a flight to Lanzarote for 50 quid return. It is ridiculous. I'm going to get to more of your messages. We'll do voice notes, so much more. What are your plans for the bank holiday weekend? We're going to have some fun today. I also want to know what you think of Andy Burnham. What is your appraisal? Is he the real deal? Can he save Labour? More from the genius that is Steve N. Allen. Your calls, texts and front pages. Next, it is 6:35 Talk Breakfast.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This
to have your company. Oh, there you go. We've got our microphone on and we'll put 10p in the meter. Lovely to see you this morning and to chat to you over the radio and via the telly. 6:36 Talk Breakfast. And folks, I want to ask you what your plans are for the bank holiday weekend. I'll get to that shortly. Andy Burnham. Is he the real deal? Can he save Labour? Anne is in Gwynedd. Good morning, Anne.
Good morning.
Lovely to have you here on a Saturday morning. How are the conditions in Gwynedd at the moment? Is it a bit warm now? Are you a bit toasty?
No. I'm still in my winter clothes. It's cloudy. I'm hoping to go in the garden I would normally be out in the garden, but I'm afraid I'm addicted to your programme.
Oh,
so
we're honoured. Addicted is what we want. Well, look, Anne, this show is nothing without you. Thank you for listening and or watching. Andy Burnham, I need to ask you this morning, is he the real deal? Is he a big talent? Is he all he's cracked up to be?
Well, I don't really think so. I think he should do a bit of research regarding people's wishes. He's done He's done 2 U-turns so far. He can't make his mind what he wants for the country. I think he should think before he makes statements. It doesn't give you any confidence, does it? What is it, 2 weeks? 2 U-turns?
Well, you're right, because he was on record in that public debate that he had a few years ago on Brexit, and he said, I make no apologies for saying in my lifetime I'd like us to rejoin the EU. He also said, didn't he, Anne, that it's only a small minority of women that think that biological men shouldn't have access to female spaces. And he's changed his mind about both of those things. The only problem you've got, Anne, is that those are very significant things to change your mind about.
Exactly. I think he should check his research group because they're not doing the job.
I know.
And also, I think when he talks about going into the EU, he should tell us the truth because he doesn't give us the whole story. Because if we go back, we've got to have open borders.
You're right.
And if we have a trade deal, we'll probably have to have the euro instead of the pound,
100%.
which we don't want. And also, the idea, when we first went into Europe, it was just for trade.
I know.
And then it's been stretched and stretched and stretched. So he doesn't really... I find it very childish. He makes these statements, but he doesn't carry them through.
Well, I agree with you, and I'm glad you made that point about what originally was the European Economic Community, the EEC, which even Margaret Thatcher supported because she believed in free trade. If that's what the EU had remained, I think we'd still be in, and I'd be campaigning for us to still be in it. Now, Anne, stay with me because live in the studio is Steve N. Allen. Steve, what do you think of Andy Burnham? Is he the real deal?
Do you know what? I think it's impossible to know, and this is because there are so many different versions, aren't there? There's there's a video by Kylie Minogue, Did It Again, that song from the 1997 album Impossible Princess, great tune. But in the video...
It's a banger, isn't it?
It's such a good one. But there are like 4 different versions of Kylie fighting with each other. You could do the same with Andy Burnham. You could have the Blairite one, the Corbyn one, the Brown one, obviously not as long as the rest of them. And you don't know. And this is why I don't know if this is fair of me to say. This is my feeling, right? He's saying now the right thing to win a certain type of election, which I don't know if we should mention this close to it. Do you then have to list all the candidates?
Well, that's right. I mean, Dean, what do you think? Can we mention that election? Can we do all the candidates once in a whole show, or do we have to do it every time we say it?
I've not said the type of election yet. I think we're on the edge.
I think we'll do it because I think it's going to be a big topic today. It is the by-election in Makerfield, and we'll do the candidates in just a moment, including and especially Monster Raving Looney. But anyhow, so Makerfield.
But I think so at the moment, the eye's on the prize. Look at the demographics of the people who live in that area. Of course he's going to start saying things a bit more sceptical of the EU because he knows what the vote was, the Brexit vote in that region. As soon as he becomes PM, who knows what's going to happen if he becomes PM. So the problem is it's very difficult to pin him down. There are so many different versions. What have we got? Do we just have a shell of a politician who seems to have no core ideology and doesn't stand for anything? Well, we've already got one of them. So are we going to improve? Is there going to be a change? The one thing we've not enjoyed of the Labour government so far has been that lack of an ideology, a sense of purpose, a sense of belief in something. Are we just importing one with slightly less grey hair?
And what does it tell us about a potential leader that does U-turns and 1 minute thinks that women should have their own spaces and the next minute not?
I phoned a couple of days ago and I said there was a song and it was Whatever King Shall Reign, I'll Be the Vicar of Bracester. So I think they just want the top job and they'll be basically two-faced.
You're right. It's simply like Starmer 2.0, isn't it? Somebody that wants to be Prime Minister and then once they're in, then we'll get a plan together.
We just want the truth, the whole truth, not statements and we're not fools. We're not fools.
Well, we're not, but they take us for fools, don't they, Anne?
Exactly. Oh, and you mentioned weather. We've got a mist just come down.
You've got a what come down?
A mist.
Oh, That's
I
lovely.
can't see the mountains.
And that's going to be good. And then that'll be, the sun will burn through that later, and you'll have a scorcher this afternoon, won't you, Anne?
Probably.
You'll be stripping off in the garden.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Exciting the neighbours. And listen, we love having you on the show, and I'm so glad that you're addicted to it. We continue to serve you on a daily basis, and we will catch up soon. Serve all of you in your growing numbers. Anne in Gwynedd there, who's very unhappy about Andy Burnham. Listen, more of your plans for the bank holiday weekend. How about this from Howard? I'll be cutting grass, painting the fence, and putting up my new Starlink. Howard, you're going to be very busy this weekend, let me tell you. We've got a voice note on Labour. This is from Charlie. Let's take a listen.
Morning, Mark. It's Charlie and George on our way to work again, paying that £40 billion welfare bill. Doesn't matter who gets in next, whether it's Andy Burnham or Wes Streeting or whether Keir Starmer stays. The problem we have is that this country is run by the Fabian Society. They're all Fabians. They're all socialists. They love giving all our money away on welfare. They love people invading our country. That's what they're all about. And until we get a change of government, nothing's going to change. Have a good day. Over and out.
Charlie, you talked a lot of sense. Thank you for a brilliant voice note. Keep them coming. Steve N. Allen, the iWeekend UK heatwave set to break spring record, leaving Africa and the Med in the shade. This is good news. I'm not going to talk about weather warnings and drink a bottle of water when you're on the tube. Forget about that. Yeah. Let's just enjoy a bit of sunshine, shall we?
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, it's been such a miserable year. It was too cold. I was, again, trying to write letters to the Met Office. Get it fixed. Because, you know, May was rubbish. I was thinking, May, you do realise which month you're next to. You're June adjacent. You should be better.
May just it didn't get the memo.
Yeah.
That it's supposed to be a pleasant month. It was Arctic, wasn't it?
It was terrible. But now, finally, and then straight away heat wave warnings. But then you've got to remember that we only learnt this last year, the definition of a heat wave isn't like, oh, it's an absolute scorcher. It doesn't have to be 3 degrees for 3 days in a row, 3 degrees higher than the average temperature for that. So you could have a heat wave in December and it wouldn't be that warm. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It only ever gets covered by the papers this time of year.
Well, do you think we need these weather warnings, by the way? What do you think of them?
Hey, I don't pay attention to them because I think if you've been on this planet for a handful of years and you're not a massive idiot, you understand that, you know, if it gets hot, maybe don't do things that make it worse. And that's probably all you need to fathom. But I can also ignore them. I'm not one of these people who gets too angry, mainly because I don't want to sweat more, because I'm getting angry that the newspapers tell us how to stay cool. They do the same in the winter. They bother me as well. If you're driving, make sure you've... Oh, come on, we know how to survive this country. Are you kidding me? If you can't handle the weather in this country, the earth is not for you.
Well, you know that thing about when they say take a break. I mean, if you're feeling tired, take a break when you're on the motorway. Yeah. Mrs. Dolan drives better when she's asleep. I'm not even joking, because she keeps a straight line.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, you should see our Prius, absolutely beaten up. All right, it's not a good look. I jest, of course. Good morning, Mark, says Stuart. Andy Burnham is just your typical lying uniparty career politician with absolutely no morals whatsoever, with more faces than the town hall clock. What a brilliantly, elegantly written message. Stuart, thank you for that. This from Mark in Stratford. Good morning, Mark, and hello, Steve. You're okay to say anything about the Bakerfield by-election until next Tuesday. At least that's what Kevin O'Sullivan was saying yesterday. Well, Kevin is the expert, so that's good enough for me. What about this from Chris? Good morning, Mark. Burnham is another wolf in sheep's clothing and a Marxist, just like Starmer and all the rest of them. Gary in sunny Somerset. Good morning, Gary. How are you, G-Dog? Gary says, good morning, Mark, and good morning, Steve. I think I can fix the economy. If we allow the irregular illegals work and pay tax at 65%, that will sort out the economy. That will be a reasonable contribution to education, policing, healthcare, and the rest of it. What a creative idea. I do enjoy that suggestion. Ian in Merseyside. Hi, Mark, and hi, Steve. Andy Burnham, what is his pedigree? Has he worked in the real world like the alarm clock Brits, or is he a career politician? It's important to me. Has he ever lived like us? Keep those messages coming. What are you up to over the bank holiday weekend? We're going to have some fun today. What do you think of Andy Burnham? Can he save Labour? Is he the real deal? Would he be better than Starmer? Here is a voice note from lovely Jules on the horror of the grooming gangs.
You're spot on, Mark. How is it possible that in this country, in our first world country, apparently, that police officers don't understand that little children, little girls, are not prostitutes? How did we get here? How do they not understand that these little girls aren't rape victims? I don't have words. I don't have words.
Jules, what a wonderful voice note. You're absolutely right, and your sentiment reflects the views of millions. How can you arrest a 13-year-old girl for being drunk in a room full of men that have just attacked her? It's mind-boggling, isn't it? So much more to come. What are your plans for the bank holiday weekend? Is the Andy Burnham thing, is it real? Is it snake oil? Let me know your thoughts. More voice notes as well, and front pages in the company of the comic genius that is Steve N. Allen. So much more to come. We're going to have some fun today. 6:48 Talk Breakfast.
First move.
The Crown is facing its gravest test in decades, and the royalty from Talk is your front row seat. With royal reputations under pressure and probing questions about public trust, we unpack every twist and revelation with the biggest names in the business. From the throne room at Buckingham Palace to a mansion in Montecito, we follow every royal ripple. Never miss a moment of The Crown in crisis. Subscribe to the royalty from Talk on the app or wherever you get your podcasts.
I've got some breaking news here. The Crowborough Army Training Camp could hold male asylum seekers all the way until 2030.
Good.
After the Home Office claimed it would only be for 12 months. Not much ambition involved in that, is there, in terms of solving the migrant crisis?
Absolutely, and the way that the Labour government gaslit the public when the migrant...
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
You are listening to Talk Breakfast. It is 6:50. Lovely to have your company. What about this from Tony? Good morning, Mark. And hello, Steve. The heat wave is only going to hit the southeast. The southwest is not going above 22 all week. Pass me a fleece. Listen, that was fantastic and just brilliant. Let's have a voice note. This is on the grooming gangs, which of course are the rape gangs. I just don't use that R word too much on breakfast because it's a family show. You'll understand that. But let's take a voice note from the brilliant Anna.
Morning, Mark. Anna, sorry. I'm going to use careful words because there may be little ears listening. However, Mark, every time a man, it's men that do it, uses the word grooming gang, they perpetuate the behaviour. You cover up the crime. We aren't groomed. We are raped by gangs of Muslim men. They take children, they hold them prisoner, they fill them with alcohol and narcotics, they pin them down, and then they take turns to rape them. There's no grooming involved in that, Mark. Please stop using that word. It actually turns the stomachs of women out here. Men need to own it. Thank you, Mark. Bye-bye.
Anna, thank you for your considered and brilliant voice note. I really, really appreciate it. Front page of the Daily Mail. Burnham plots new tax raid on Middle England. Would-be PM vows to overhaul council tax and impose fresh levy on undertaxed land. I don't know how much, Stephen Allen, the Daily Mail are paying Boris Johnson for his column, but the headline in today's column, "The nasty sty in my eye and dire warning from the genius who discovered penicillin that all humanity must listen to." I suspect the old Mail fancy their money back. When they commissioned this man, probably $500,000 a year, they thought he was going to be slamming Starmer all day long, slamming Rayner. He's talking about his infected eye.
Oh, bless him. You think you're right, it's about $500,000 or something, wasn't it? And the first column he eventually wrote for the Daily Mail was about his cheese.
That's exactly it. We've had his wisdom on gardening. Yeah. I honestly, seriously, folks, you don't get what you pay for with old Bojo, do you? I used to work at a different media network that paid him a lot of money, and he did one interview for about 10 minutes, and that was it. So that's not great. What about this Britney Spears, by the way? I know you're not fully across this story, Steve.
No, I'm across the Britney story, of course.
She's a talented songstress.
Oh, yes. She's up there with Kylie.
She is. She's had a lot of hits, and she's a very troubled girl, of course. She had relationship problems. Britney Spears used a British accent and offered police lasagna during a driving arrest. She was pulled over for suspected drink driving. She's used a British accent and offered them this classic Italian snack. I'd have let her off.
I would have up until that point. You know, you think, like, has she really got a problem? I think if you're doing a British accent, flirt with the police. You're Britney, for crying out loud. You could get away with quite a lot, but I think doing a British accent and offering a lasagna,
See, if I was an American cop, a British accent and then sort of layered pasta with minced meat in between and bechamel sauce, I think I would have folded.
But you would have been aware that it's Britney, because it's Britney. You look at her and you're like, oh, look, you're Britney. There's something, bless her. Look, this is not even part one of the Britney's having a terrible time story. I remember back in our day, there was her and Christina Aguilera, and one of them was like youthful, virginal, if that's a phrase. And then there was Christina Aguilera.
Did you just call one of them vaginal?
No, I was trying to find what's the correct adjective to go with.
This was a family show.
What's the correct adjective?
We've all had a drink.
But I think virgin is the adjective of virgin, isn't it? It's both a noun and an adjective. Oh, they get me every time. However, Christina Aguilera, she was dirty. And they very much swapped. Christina Aguilera became the mother figure. And poor old Britney, she's gone off the rails so many times. She's nowhere near the rails anymore.
Well, it's very sad, isn't it? Her father was controlling her career and her money for years in something called a custodianship or something, and she had to battle to get out of that one.
But we kind of thought that when that ended, she'd be back on track. She's also not in charge of her own affairs very well. She's offering lasagna to police, Mark. It's not right.
Should we be flattered that she thinks the best way to get away avoid arrest is to have a British accent? Is that a vote of confidence in the UK?
I think it is. I take some responsibility, because you remember that scene where she had a shaved head, and she looks a bit like me. Let's be honest. We're very similar. If I brandish an umbrella, I do look like Britney during that breakdown.
Correct.
And I have a British accent. So I think she's, if anything, must be a big fan of my oeuvre. She's trying to be me because she thinks I can get out of police stuff.
Well, I've heard your falsettos, and it's something to behold. This poor woman, I mean, this is an advert against fame, really, isn't it? Because we laugh, but this is, I know she's a millionaire and everyone else is struggling with their bills. I get it. But she's clearly a troubled soul, and not the best advert for being famous.
It's not just being famous as well. I think it's being famous at a young age. I can't think of an example where it doesn't ruin you, because it changes your relationship with the world. I think one of the things that you get during your pre-teen years and teen years is kind of you build up resilience, because you try, you fail, and you learn how to deal with what life's going to throw at you with greater heft when you get older. If you miss that out because everything is given to you on a plate, you are the star of any room you're in, then I think mentally it just must mess you up. I've never been more grateful for the paltry state of my career than I am right now.
Now, one of the things that concerns me is the size of the welfare state. I passionately believe in it. It's supposed to be a safety net. If you can't work, we will look after you. And I believe that most of my viewers and listeners agree that's why we pay our taxes. Imagine if you're disabled, you're in a wheelchair, you're having epileptic fits, or you have sight issues, hearing. I think that's what the welfare state is for. What it's not for is a blue badge, if you've got ADHD. Tell me more.
Yeah, it's in the tens of thousands of additional blue badges that are being handed out, and now you can get them for these invisible disabilities. Fair enough, because some of them would include things like arthritis or Parkinson's, and you can use a blue badge to a passenger.
Dementia.
So if you've got
forgot
dementia,
that one.
The
here all week. I mean, I thought it was good for 4 minutes to 7.
Okay, fair enough. We'll circle back around and look at that later. But yeah, look, it makes sense. For some hidden disabilities, definitely need to be included in this. But the problem is, then you've let an ability to play the system come through. Now, we've both worked as stand-up comedians, so could probably get diagnosed with something. Probably ADHD. I don't know any comedians now who haven't got a late in life
It's
ADHD.
a strange job to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
For a strange person.
Yes, there's definitely something wrong with it. We're on some sort of a spectrum in some direction. I don't know how many times you've been gigging recently, but loads of comedians of our kind of age are getting the late in life diagnosis of ADHD.
Oh, yeah.
I won't name names, but I was gigging with someone and he just started his ADHD medication and he said, I got loads done last week. Yeah, I'd be probably quite productive if I'd start taking speed. I'm not sure the proof of the medication working is proof of diagnosis. But anyway, I don't need to be nearer the shops. I'm not sure why you need to be near the shops if you have ADHD. Are they saying if you park too far away, you walk to the shops, get bored halfway through and go back? I don't think that's it. It just seems it's another way of the system being played. And do you know what I think the evidence is of the system being played? The fact that you can find TikTok videos of people telling people how to play the system. Also, and please tell me if I'm a stuck record on the kind of woke progressive mentality, but I see this as another example of leftist progressivism, is to include more people under the disability banner. Yeah. And the reason why I object to it so much is that it's really bad news for the people for whom those blue badges are intended. So, you know, if I push back on it, I'm a bad person. And I'm thinking, well, no, I'm probably not a bad person, because I figure that if you're in a wheelchair, you shouldn't have to compete with someone that's got ADHD for a parking space in front of Tesco because you're in a wheelchair. Yeah, and there aren't enough spaces then, so all the spaces are full. Someone who needs to use that space has to park further away. It's thoroughly ruining the entire system, the principle of the system. There was a survey recently. It's something like 25% of people think they have some sort of disability. They claim to have. And that can't be true. I've seen more than 4 people today. So statistically, I took a sample of the population, and it's not 1 in 4 people who need to be near the shops, is it? And also, there aren't 1 in 4 parking bays that are blue badge bays. So basically, this entire system does need overhauling. But you're right. If you're the person who says, "Wait a minute, we need to take again another look at this," then you're the bad person, because you're saying you don't deserve help. That's it. And what I think is that there's a hierarchy of need. And at the top of that is surely people with serious disabilities, such as osteoporosis, Parkinson's, or perhaps they're wheelchair bound. What shouldn't happen is you jump the queue because you've got ADHD or you've had a bad day. We're having a good day. More from Steve Allen and Mike Allen and many more next. This is Talk.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
$7:03. Phew, what a scorcher. Happy Saturday, one and all, and happy bank holiday weekend. Mark Dolan with you for a very, very big show this morning. So many big political stories to get through, but we want to have some fun as well, as it is the bank holiday weekend. What are you up to? Are you working this weekend, or have you got some time off? Let me know your plans. 0344 499 1000. What are you up to this bank holiday weekend? One of the reasons I ask is because breaking this morning, Labour is planning a tax raid on the Great British Holiday as Rachel Reeves seeks to club Brits to the tune of £300 for a UK staycation. You heard me right. An extra 300 quid for the great privilege of having a holiday in your own country. Well, with hotels, bars and restaurants struggling, is this the final nail in the coffin for British hospitality? Is it worth having a holiday here? Would you be better off abroad? Meanwhile, Labour's political beauty contest turns ugly. So will Andy Burnham make a blind bit of difference if he enters number 10? Is Andy Burnham the real deal? Can he save Labour? Let me know your thoughts. Now, my phone number is 0344 499 1000. Text the word TALK and your message to 87222. Leave us a voice note, and as the saying goes, let's talk. Now, you can hear us on the radio, DAB+, in-app and online, but you can also watch the show. Head to YouTube, search Talk, and up we pop. Luke is directing our TV output today, and I can't lie, I've never looked better. So what do you think? Andy Burnham, can he save Labour? Is he the real deal? Would he be an improvement? And what are your plans for the bank holiday weekend? So much to get through. As the saying goes, let's talk. And we'll kick off with a voice note, and it's in regards to Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, who it's been revealed the Queen lobbied on behalf of. The Queen Elizabeth, wanted Andrew to be a trade envoy, a business envoy for this country. Here's a voice note on that from Liam.
Good morning, Mark. Liam from Accrington here. I just find, with the Andrew scandal, that they're bringing in the late Queen's name. I find it so disrespectful to her. She's been dead, for several years now? And why bring her name into it?
Liam, I think that's a really good point, and I'll be raising that with my royal guest later. It does seem unfair to attribute allegations to a queen that's no longer able to defend herself. Thank you for that. So many front pages to get through. The Daily Mail: Burnham plots new tax raid on Middle England. Would-be PM vows to overhaul council tax and impose a fresh levy on the so-called undertaxed land of this country. iWeekend: UK heatwave set to break spring record, leaving Africa and the Med in the shade. And the Daily Telegraph: £300 tax on your summer staycation. Mayors seize on new powers to charge overnight visitors hundreds for holidays. With me live in the studio, the brilliant broadcaster and comedian Steve N. Allen, and down the line, former Met Police detective Mike Neville. Good morning, boys. Michael, let me start with you. Staying in your own country, having a holiday in your own country ought to be the cheaper option, but it's not, is it? On holiday in this country, you spend a fortune.
Yeah, absolutely. And these local authorities who want to impose this tourist tax or this overnight tax, it's just going to become ruination to the, to the local businesses, the hotels and bars and the like. But it's just insane. But what you have, though, is if you give local authorities, particularly left-wing ones, the authority to tax people, believe me, they'll tax people to pay for more of their woke nonsense. There'll be more diversity units and whatever else. There won't be any more facilities for people going on holiday, but to give them authority to raise tax is just mad in my view, and it will just lost jobs.
Mike, I completely agree. I mean, taking a holiday, Mike, in your own country really should be the cheaper option. And in a way, it should be the patriotic option. You're thinking, well, look, the economy's in the toilet, businesses are struggling. I'm going to go on holiday in this country. I'm going to save some money and I'm going to support my own country. But it just doesn't work like that.
Well, I mean, look at this week, how lovely it is. If you spend time, I lived for a while in the New Forest, absolutely beautiful down there. I'm in mid-Wales at the moment, my brother's place. Some of the places to go on holiday here, if you get the right weather, why would you go abroad? It's beautiful and green and the sun is shining. It'll be absolutely lovely. But as you say, why do that if you can get a cheap flight to Benidorm and get no tax there, the beer's cheaper, and you have a guarantee of the weather? It's just unfair on all these businesses. But as I say, you give the left the chance to raise tax and they will raise it.
As you know, Mike, they don't sleep. I mean,
never sleep.
The issue is, Steve and Alan, what we're seeing here is the law of unintended consequences, aren't we? A phrase I use a lot on the show is that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. This tax-raising effort is designed to support public services with a country that's in the red. The issue you've got is it will hurt the economy and it will hurt hospitality.
Yeah, I don't know what you mean. The idea is, and if you look individually at one policy, you might think, well, what difference is it going to make? This will raise some money and we can do good with the money. But when you put it all together, you add up all the different ways that businesses are suffering, all the different ways that the individual now has to pay such a massive amount of tax. It's the cumulative effect that then stifles any ability for an economy to grow. And by doing that, then, as we were saying earlier, you're shrinking the cake. We're also saying earlier, you can get a can of beer for a pint these days. It's an amazing world.
It's a beautiful world. I mean, the issue you've got, Steve and Alan, is the common sense would prevail that, I've had a tough year, there's not much money about, I'll go on holiday here in the UK. Actually, notwithstanding this alleged 300 quid holiday tax, going on holiday in the UK has been very expensive for years and years and years, hasn't it?
Yeah, because we are a very expensive place to live. It's ridiculous, in part because of all the the taxation and the way that our economy is working, which is why it's slowly been struggling to grow. But you're right, it's not even just it shouldn't be the cheap option. It is such a good option. There are so many wonderful places to say. For such a small nation, there are lovely places that I can guarantee you've not been. No one's been to everywhere in this country.
Every county's got something to offer, hasn't it?
Last year we went to Shropshire and visited
that's a dump.
all the castles.
So
my little 4-year-old lad, honestly, for a 4-year-old lad, we go like, look at these castles. Desperate. He thought dragons lived there. Didn't disabuse him of that notion because it felt like more bang for our buck. But there are so many great places to be that it should be worthwhile. And if you like your holidays abroad, go and visit places like London, where you'll be sat on the street having a coffee next to people who aren't speaking English. You can very much get the effect without even leaving the nation.
Most definitely. And there we are. Labour think they can tax everything, can't they? Don't they, Mike? And they'll just never get the memo that socialism doesn't work.
Absolutely. I've got to defend Shropshire, though. It's a very, very nice place.
I was absolutely joking.
Very nice. But,
people hopefully know my sense of humour by now. Beautiful, beautiful county.
They will tax everything they can. If you only have to listen to the George Harrison singing Taxman on the Beatles LP when he was singing about Harold Wilson, you drive a car, they'll tax the street. You try to walk, they will tax your feet. This is those words are true, and they'll always think up a new way to take your money because they think they know better about how to spend it.
Most definitely. Let's take a voice note on this from Peter, if we can.
Good morning, Mark. A UK holiday tax would mean nobody goes on the holiday. This would leave thousands of caravans and hotels to put illegal immigrants in. Plus, is it another Ed Miliband move to stop people driving around and leaving their own areas? Because nobody will have any holiday locations to drive to, will they? The whole thing is a sly trick from this government yet again.
Meanwhile, talking of sly tricks, Steve N. Allen, we've had 2 U-turns from Andy Burnham. He previously said that he would like the UK to rejoin the EU in his lifetime. Now he said it's not a priority. He also said back in the day that it's only a minority of women that are concerned about biological males being in female spaces. Now he thinks we have to uphold the Supreme Court's verdict that there are just 2 sexes and that female spaces are sacrosanct. Is this guy Starmer 2.0?
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? That if we want change, we're not going to get it by basically having the same thing again. In general, though, I don't always say a politician doing a U-turn is a bad thing, because without that, a politician who comes up with a bad idea is married to it for life. So, of course, in the light of new information, some of these that are done across a long period of time, of course we grow, we change, we learn better than we thought before.
Yeah.
But it is worrying when what we've just had with Keir Starmer is someone was U-turning so much, could have taken gold at the Winter Olympics, the figure skating, but didn't. So it's not, there's no sense of confidence there, isn't it? That you don't know what you're going to get. And it's not even like we get a bet on this one, because it's not a general election. We don't get to work out whether we think what he stands for is what this nation needs. This is all just going to happen as we sit idly by and watch.
Well, Mike Neville, James is not convinced. Take a listen to this voice note.
Morning, Mark. It's James here in Prestatyn, sunny North Wales. How can anyone vote for Andy Burnham? The guy wants to get us back into the EU. Does he not care that we voted 10 years ago to get out the EU and get our country back? If anyone's got any sense, they should vote for the plucky plumber and Nigel that's going to drain the swamp and clear this mess up, because the country is in an absolute state. Britain is broken, and us alarm clock Britons need to get back on the right track.
James, thank you for that. And Steve, I'm glad that he said the term very carefully, plucky plumber.
Yes, and I don't know if he knows anyone who plucks pheasants or any of their relatives, but I wouldn't talk about that on radio.
Steve and Alan is with me in the studio. Down the line is Mike Neville, former Met Police detective. What do you think about Andy Burnham? Is this the Emperor's new clothes? Is he all he's cracked up to be, Michael?
Well, let me give my verdict. You know, so he plays this, so I'm the average northerner. Well, he isn't the average northerner at all. He joined a political party, Labour, at 16. Who joins a political party at 16?
Only a weirdo.
Only a weird. I joined the army at 16. That's what you should be doing at 16.
Yeah, you did something productive.
Then he is absolutely the product of the professional politician. You know, he gets a degree in this philosophy and politics and economics. Then he becomes an advisor to a senior Labour individual. Then he gets a safe seat. This should be banned. I would like to be an MP one day, and one of the first laws I would bring in is that you're forbidden to be an MP unless you work for 10 years outside Parliament. I'd put an age limit on it. You shouldn't be an MP unless you're about 40. You should bring into that chamber lots of experience of life, whether you're a teacher, a nurse, a businessman, a soldier, or whatever. You bring into that chamber lots of experience. These people who just do follow that career path, and the Tories are guilty of it as well, it should be absolutely banned. We do not need any more of these clones in the chamber directing our lives.
Yes, I mean, Mike, we've got a House of Commons full of people from the charity sector, party workers and lawyers and folk that have been heads of think tanks. This is not the real world that these folk inhabit.
And look at the cabinet. There's no one on that cabinet who's set up a business. And, you know, I was a soldier at 16. I was in the police till I was 50. Now, when you work in the public sector, of course, you guaranteed your money every month. And I worked hard and I did my best. But there were some idle individuals in the public sector who still got paid. And I now run my own business, so you know it. Sometimes at 4 o'clock in the morning, you wake up and you think, how am I going to pay this person? How am I going to pay these wages? We need more people in the cabinet who've had that experience, who realise that money just doesn't fall out of a tree into your pocket. You've got to earn it. Where does that money come from that pays for all the public sector? We need a change in the politicians. It is the Augean stables, as I said before. It is full of dung and it needs sweeping out. We need a Herculean character to do that.
Steve, Steve, what do you think of the calibre of members of Parliament we have?
Well, in the defence of some of them in terms of experience, Rachel Reeves, I was reading her LinkedIn, has such a great career in the past that I'm not surprised this country's in this state.
Well, I didn't realise that she was Chancellor of Germany in the 1800s.
Things went great for her.
I mean, she's got experience.
It's amazing, yeah. The part of the problem here, though, is the media, though. I'm willing to take some hit for that, because politicians can only seem to survive what media does to them if they've been thoroughly trained and media trained and they've been in it forever. So we've ended up filtering out anyone with real life experience who might say something not as fully as they intended once. These days, in the world of media, if you're a politician who accidentally speaks their mind, you're gone, you're done. There'll be a full week's worth of front pages. Oh, that person said something they didn't quite understand. Which now means you end up with these Teflon-coated clones of each other. And it is a bit our fault.
Well, yes, because, Steve, the issue is that I felt at the last election, whoever it was that was making their pitch to lead the country would ideally have made a speech, whether it was Sunak or Starmer or Ed Davey or anyone else. And the speech would have been a simple one, which is, folks, the country's bankrupt. So what we're going to need is 5 years of CPR. We're going to have to cut our cloth accordingly. We're going to get out of the red into the black. It's going to be a painful 5 years, but by the end of it, we'll be really, really future-proofed. No one's going to win an election on that platform, are they?
That's the problem. Now we won't reward truth. So what do you expect? Do you know who I don't trust? Any politician who does that weird hand gesture. It's not a point, it's not a fist. They have the one knuckle out and they make the points like that. If they talk like that, you know they've been trained within an inch of their life. Pointing's rude, fist is aggressive. So this weird thing that they do. David Cameron, I think he started it, doing all this tapping around. Don't trust any of them who do that with a hand.
Steve N. Allen, you're one of the finest practitioners of the comedic arts in this country, as well as a brilliant political commentator. Tell us about your YouTube, which is doing very well at the moment.
Yeah, I'm often in the Shed studio, broadcasting on the youtube.com/@Mr. Stephen Allen, and in a move that not everyone's loving, I have plugged in a keyboard and got a ukulele for some musical numbers. So, yeah, it's all happening.
You do that. You have this YouTube channel. You do it in the Shed because you've got a big growing audience for your comedy and witticisms. Do you also do it to get away from Mrs. Allen?
I mean, that might be true, but I'm certainly not going to say that out loud on a broadcast medium.
And thank God you didn't.
Thank you.
Steve, looking forward to having you back in the studio very soon. What a brilliant conversation we've had this morning. I'm delighted to say that Mike Neville is staying with us. More front pages. What are your plans for the bank holiday weekend? And is Andy Burnham all he's cracked up to be? This is Talk Breakfast.
The Crown is facing its gravest test in decades, and the royalty from Talk is your front row seat. With royal reputations under pressure and probing questions about public trust, we unpack every twist and revelation with the biggest names in the business. From the throne room at Buckingham Palace to a mansion in Montecito, we follow every royal ripple. Never miss a moment of The Crown in crisis. Subscribe to The Royalty from Talk on the app or wherever you get your podcasts.
I've got some breaking news here. The Crowborough Army Training Camp could hold male asylum seekers all the way until 2030. After the Home Office claimed it would only be for 12 months. Not much ambition involved in that, is there, in terms of solving the migrant crisis?
Absolutely, and the way that the Labour government
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Talk Breakfast 7:23. Can Andy Burnham save Labour? Would he be an improvement on Starmer? Is he the real deal? Here's a voice note from Perry.
Morning, Mark. I must say I did have to turn you off for a few days because you was driving me mad, but I am back to give you another chance because you were driving me mad last week when you kept saying, Andy Burnham, King of the North. It was driving me mad. You know, he's not a king. He's not anyone's king. It's just the left-wing propaganda media that addresses him as a king, and you was falling into the same bag as them. But please don't call him a king, and I'll keep listening.
Well,
have
Perry,
a great day. Have a great weekend.
Yeah, Perry, you are the man. And listen, I've got to hang on to you because you are a precious member of our audience. And I'm more than happy to stop calling him the King of the North because it is not an accurate title. He's not been nominated, ordained to be a king of any region. In fact, I think that as Prime Minister, he'll be King Useless. He'll be King Useless. Just my opinion. Honestly, folks, I'll be honest with you, Perry, and everyone watching and listening. I consider Andy Burnham to be a charlatan. I think he's exactly like Starmer. I think he'll just tell any audience what they want to hear. How can you change your mind about biological sex? How can you change your mind about what a woman is? Because I'm now 52, and I've always thought that a woman is a biological female. I've not had to U-turn on that one. Make it make sense. 7:24, this is Talk Breakfast. Let's do one more quick voice note. This is Eugenie before I get back to Mike.
Good morning, Mark. Fabulous show, as always. I love your show, and I love you, Mark.
Oh, thank you.
Eugenie from Bexhill-on-Sea.
Where's the butt? Is there a butt coming?
I don't think Andy Burnham will be any better. In fact, I think he'll be worse than Starmer. I think Andy Burnham will be Starmer on steroids.
There you go. We'll look at that. Keep those voice notes coming. And Mike Neville is with me, who, of course, is a former Met Police detective. And let's talk about this shocking story. And it comes from the Daily Express, Mike. A failed asylum seeker has been blocked from deportation after claiming his relationship with his sibling would suffer.
Well, it's everywhere, isn't it? This lunacy is everywhere. I've been reading, sent the story of the guy who's been trying to go back to America. He's been trying to deport himself back to Las Vegas. You know, he came here claiming he was persecuted because he was a black Jewish Mormon. And I'm amazed they didn't grant him asylum, to be honest. But he's been trying to go back and he's been blocked from going back. But these spurious reasons like, you know, I don't get on with my family or my children don't like Albanian chicken nuggets or something like that. We just rule by fools. But what you've got to look at all the time, if you look at these hearings and you look at the judges, you know, I look into these judges who hear these tribunals.
Yeah.
These are people who were like lawyers who supported these refugees, you know, appeals as a lawyer. So what do they think they're going to be like as the judge? And in my view, all these appeals, these immigration appeals, we should have some form of jury, some members of the public who make the decision, does this person stay? Because what we're doing is literally leaving it in the hands of left-wing lawyers to decide, does this refugee stay in the country? And of course, the answer with them will always be, yes, they're a victim fleeing war. So the system just perpetuates itself.
Most definitely. And actually, I want to have a look at the language of this because the left are famous for leveraging language against us to get their way. And I think Perry's right to admonish me, Mike, for calling Andy Burnham the King of the North. He's no such thing. Can we talk about the language around immigration? Because I think we need to stop calling these people refugees and asylum seekers. I think that is politically correct, and I think it disguises the truth. We should call them what they are, which is illegals.
Yeah, exactly, because you hear these politicians talking about irregular immigration. It's not irregular immigration, it's illegal. And as you say, the left are very good at twisting words, inventing phrases. They're always inventing a new word like BAME or something like this.
Oh, yeah.
Which then everybody's got, then you've got to sit in a meeting and you've got to see who can say it the most times. They're always, and it's like, it's not gangs, it's group rape and all these sort of fudging and it's just a way of covering it up. And also, they've always known more than you. They always know the newest phrase, so they're always cleverer than you. They are, as we just said it earlier, the left never sleep. They're wicked, they have an evil plan, and they're not going to stop until we stop them doing it.
Most definitely. And the issue you've got with open borders is that it makes our citizens less safe. And isn't it shocking that the political establishment don't seem to be concerned about that?
Well, as I've said it on here before, Mark, what you have is a cult. So they have the cult of their new religion, their woke religion. So that includes multiculturalism, climate change, this whole thing. And so they will carry on this plan no matter how bad it gets. I was reading yesterday, 7 Afghanis who've entered this country illegally, either on the Portsmouth ferry or small boats or in the back of a lorry, now all been charged with 40 rape offences against 2 teenage girls in Norfolk. What is going on here? And the more these things happen, and it just allowed to happen, the politicians will say they're going to do something about it. I've not heard Zippy say he's going to smash the gangs recently. So what are they doing about it? There's none at all. And when you talk about Burnham, I suggest this. For those who are children of the 70s like me, if we get rid of Zippy and get Burnham, we'll just get Bungle in charge.
Well, that's not a bad idea, is it? What about this? A major political and social row has erupted over knife crime and the immigration system following a fatal stabbing, Mike, in Bradford. The incident, which took place in broad daylight near a city centre supermarket, resulted in the death of a young mother. It's ignited intense nationwide scrutiny after disclosures emerged regarding the suspect's asylum status. Here we go again. We had that young woman, of course, working in a migrant hotel, stabbed at a train station by an illegal with a screwdriver. When are the establishment going to wake up?
Well, they will only wake up if we vote them out. We've got to send them that clear message. If you're voting Labour and Greens, you're just literally voting for more of this to go on. And they play on the fact that people feel sorry for them. They portray this thing of people fleeing asylum. But we're just bringing into this country people who are very, very violent. And as a retired senior detective, I had to deal with these things. The good thing is now, though, for 2 or 3 decades, the actual, the crime rate by ethnicity, the crime rate by nationality was hidden. Every effort was made to conceal the truth. At least now we can see that the truth is being published. Like, for example, we know that Afghanis are 20 times more likely to commit sexual offences than somebody born in Britain. So that is just so blatant that bringing these people into the country, we are putting our wives, daughters, sisters, mothers at risk. And the politicians have got to realise this, and we've got to keep asking difficult questions. You only have to go into a prison today, I would say. I always say this, all my 4 great-grandfathers were either in the trenches in the First World War or down a mine. How many people in a prison today have 4 great-grandfathers who were born in this country? And I would bet there've been very few of them, to be honest.
Mike, we always love having you on the show. It is such a treat. You talk such sense. If I was Home Secretary, we can but dream, I'd give you your badge back and say, police the streets, because it will be worth every penny. Why? Because you have common sense, deep experience, and you're not politically correct. And I believe that political correctness and woke has made us far less safe in this country. It's destroyed everything, hasn't it? It's destroyed the economy, it's destroyed society, our open borders policy. And I think, Mike, that the left are so twisted and deranged that they actually see these rapes and these crimes as a price worth paying for their open borders experiment.
Yeah, absolutely. They're deeply committed to this experiment of multiculturalism, no matter how bad it gets, no matter how many ghettos are created, no matter, in particular, no matter how much the Jewish community is targeted, they'll just carry on doing this. It is, to me and you, and to the listeners and viewers, it will seem insane. But to them, it's all part of a plan. They want this multicultural society, and they're determined to get it no matter what the price.
And we must fight it. Mike, you are at your brother's place at the moment. Do you have plans for the bank holiday weekend?
Well, I'll be watching my family going down to see Bolton Wanderers in the playoffs. 2 years ago, I was in Benidorm in the Bolton Wanderers bar watching them. They blew it there. Hopefully, they'll win on they'll win tomorrow, and Bolton will be promoted to the Championship. But I shall be watching that tomorrow.
Well, it's a great club with a great history, of course, previously in the Premier League with Big Sam Allardyce. Let's hope they can get back to the Championship and then back to the Holy Grail of the Prem in the near future. Mike, have an excellent weekend. You are a legend. We'll speak soon. Former Met Police Detective Mike Neville. Much more to come. Andy Burnham, is he the real deal? Can he save Labour? And what are your plans for the bank holiday weekend? Your calls next. 7:33 Talk Breakfast.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
You are listening to Talk Breakfast. It is 7:34. Paul is in Manchester. Hello, Paul.
Morning, Mark. How are you doing?
I'm very well, and you're the perfect man to ask. I know we're going to come to immigration and open borders in a second, but you live in Manchester. What about Andy Burnham? Is he the real deal? Can he save Labour? Is he good?
No, not enough. I've said this before. He's quite influential in the job that I do. So, as I work in Manchester for this guy, basically, no.
What's the issue with him? What do you make of his character? Is he a principled man?
Any man that can stick a camera on a lamppost and charge a vehicle for going down the road and then cancelling it at the cost that it cost is a joke.
Well, yes. So this was older Andy Burnham's efforts to clean up the air in Manchester, and he spent a lot of money. Was it 100 million on cameras for clean air vehicles?
That
right?
Now don't work.
And he cancelled the whole project. It's pretty mad, isn't it? And what about illegal immigration? Tell me more.
What I want to say is this: the problem with the open borders for the illegal immigration is we get charged now £300 to stay in Britain, and that's just one of the stealth taxes that they deals with to pay for all this coming in. It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop when they get over on that boat.
The cost of open borders, you're right about this, Paul, because we've talked about how it divides our communities, how it creates competition for precious resources, including housing, how it impacts our safety because some of these people are dangerous and violent with a different attitude to women. But the other point that you're raising is it's costing us billions.
Absolutely. And that's just that we're getting told this is to help our economy. We're not helping our economy. We're funding this. That's what it is. And in 1971, I think the act was, it's illegal to enter this country without a passport, without valid documentation. And anyone that assists them is committing a crime.
Yeah, well, those were the days. And Paul, you're right about immigration because we know that the boats is a huge problem and massively costly. accommodating these folk, half of whom will likely stay for the rest of their lives. As you know, sadly, Paul, they're not all engineers and doctors and brain surgeons. So you've got the illegal immigration costs us a fortune, but legal migration costs us a fortune as well, doesn't it? Because the so-called Boris wave, 2.5 million people over 5 years, these folk will be low-skilled workers who will be requiring in-work benefits for the rest of their lives.
Absolutely. But as long as they can object to a chicken nugget, they've got nothing to complain about, have they? They've got nothing to worry about. They're guaranteed citizenship here.
Well, the other thing I found out recently, Paul, is that upwards of half of the Boris wave will never work. So it's not even true that they're contributing to care homes, fruit picking, that kind of thing. Half of the cohort won't work at all.
How can a country pay more in benefits than it gets in revenue from tax? How can that sustain itself?
It's a Ponzi scheme. It makes no sense. Paul, how would you fix it if you had your magic wand? What would you do in this country?
Do you know what? I would stick them in. I would stick them on a plane to Rwanda, but that would just be a sensible idea.
I know. And Starmer said he would scrap Rwanda before the election. And the journalist said, what if it works? Will you scrap it? Is he, yeah, even if it works, I'll scrap it, which I think tells you everything, doesn't it?
Well, anything that works, he scraps, doesn't it? Don't get me started on the jury system, because on a video you can do whatever you want, cause what damage you want, and get away with it, really.
It's insanity. We're losing our minds, aren't we? Paul, you're keeping me sane. Please call me again soon. Paul in Manchester there. Have a lovely weekend. Barry's in Norwich. Good morning, Barry.
Good morning, Mark. How are you?
Very well. Lovely to have you on the show. Barry, do you have nice plans for the bank holiday weekend?
I'm going to the pictures this evening with my daughter.
Isn't that lovely? Michael Jackson film, or what are you seeing?
That's the one, yeah.
There you go. I've heard it's very good. I've heard it's pretty powerful stuff. And
I haven't seen it, so
I think you'll be tapping your toes, Barry. Listen, what about the grooming gangs? Because I'm really happy with the Daily Express, which I think is a great paper, and they've decided to show a bit of leadership today with an important story. Rape gang victim says police and other officials should face a criminal inquiry. The headline: people need to explain why they did not act. That's true, isn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I'd like to say, no, the rape gang. There was a big raid up here Wednesday with the police, and 7 Afghan refugees, so-called, were arrested and have been charged with 40 counts of rape against young girls in Norwich.
I know.
Yeah, and this has got to stop. You know, and people who are involved in this, the companies like Serco, the government, do you know what I mean, all these people that allow these people to come in the country illegally, put up in hotels, SMOs, all these Afghans, they were all in the ages between 20 and 23. They were all in houses of multiple occupancy.
Yeah.
A couple of them were just up the road from me. Yeah, this has got to stop. And this government must be held accountable, because you cannot possibly tell me, yeah, right, that the amount of girls that have been raped is unreal. And these young girls are all in their early teens. They are now going to be traumatized for the rest of their lives. Yeah. And it just makes my blood boil, to be honest with you. And the government just keep bringing them in and bringing them in and bringing them in. And it's just happening.
And also, Barry, the progressive left, the so-called Be Kind crowd, deafening in their silence about the mass rape of young British girls.
Oh, this is the thing, you see. It's all this lefty stuff. It's all selective protest, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? You know, right? You know, they select what they're going to protest about. You know, and
they're more worried about Gaza than they are about British girls being attacked, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, I had this argument with someone the other day, and I said I personally don't care about Gaza, Israel, Ukraine, or anywhere else. I care what's happening here. I live here.
Why would you? I mean, surely the government should be most concerned with its own citizens.
Yeah, I mean, you just see on your screen that the government are now putting £100 million into the rape gang. I mean, £100 million. I mean, what's that? What is that? Do you know what I mean? That's nothing. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, right. You know, it's not going to sort out. What they need to do is put the Navy in the channel and stop these people coming in illegally. They're committing a crime when they come in illegally. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, right. They're breaking into this country and they're coming here, right, to live in hotels eat food. Do you know what I mean? People like yourself, myself, go to work. We have to pay for this garbage. We're paying for people to come into our country and rape children and rape women. You know, I've got 2 daughters, and it just makes my blood boil. Sorry.
Barry, I'm glad it makes your blood boil because it shows that you're a good person with compassion and common sense. And that's why I love speaking to you on the show, and I love putting your views out there on the radio and on the telly. Keep it coming. So many more calls. By the way, what are you all up to over the bank holiday weekend? Lovely one from Kevin who says, good morning, Mark. I'm enjoying the lovely bank holiday weather today, and I'm attending the Great British Jaguar Day at Bicester Motion, a celebration of everything Jaguar over the generations before Jaguar went all EV and woke. What about this from Sharon? Good morning, Mark. Rachel Reeves is charging £300 for a staycation in the UK. I'd rather go abroad. No way would I pay anything to stay in my country. I already spend a lot when I say thank you very much. That is brilliant. Thank you for that, Sharon. Labour are finished, says Bala in North Wales. Andy Burnham couldn't even run for a pint of milk, let alone to be Prime Minister. More of your messages shortly. Here's a voice note on the grooming gangs from Peter.
This morning I am bloody fuming. You know, it's MPs like Carl Turner and all the others who voted against the rape inquiry. Him and all those others who voted against that inquiry are responsible for this latest outrage, because it just gives carte blanche to these horrible, vile, disgusting scum gangs go and do what they want to our young girls. It's disgusting. I am so bloody angry. I am so bloody angry. And also the police need to be outed. What the hell are they playing at? Arresting a 13-year-old girl after she's just been raped. These police officers that do this need to be outed and sacked.
Completely agree. I mean, I think prosecution wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but certainly lose their jobs, Peter, because that's the most shocking thing. Can you imagine a police officer arresting a teenage girl who's just been attacked by a group of disgusting men? Vermin is probably the right word. Alan's got a voice note on Brexit.
Bob Hale from Thetford. All these whingers and whiners about Brexit and how that's no good is all down to 5 or 6 years of people what didn't want to be in it, milking it and working on it and making it impossible for it to work, diluting all the things,
reversing it,
what we used to have, or what we wanted, what we went for. That woman in Prime Minister and Boris, I went on and on and on, and that's wrong. That was good thing to start with. Now they ruined it, but I'm still voting for it. We don't want to be in that bloody union. Bugger it. Bye. Lovely programme.
Alan, thank you for that. We don't want to be in that union. Well, I totally agree with you. We had the biggest public vote in our history, and the answer was we want out. And what we've got to do is stay out, particularly because the EU is a dying economic bloc, particularly given the fact that if we re-entered, we'd have to have the euro, we'd have free movement, and we would be paying 25, 30 billion pounds a year for the great privilege of membership. Are you telling me that we would make up for that in trade? Good luck with that. It ain't gonna happen. So much more to come. What are your plans for the bank holiday weekend? And is Andy Burnham the real deal? 7:45. This is Talk Breakfast.
the public when...
The Crown is facing its gravest test in decades, and the royalty from Talk is your front row seat. With royal reputations under pressure and probing questions about public trust, we unpack every twist and revelation with the biggest names in the business. From the throne room at Buckingham Palace to a mansion in Montecito, we follow every royal ripple. Never miss a moment of The Crown in crisis. Subscribe to the royalty from Talk on the app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Got some breaking news here. The Crowborough Army Training Camp could hold male asylum seekers all the way until 2030. Good. After the Home Office claimed it would... ambition involved in that, is there, in terms of solving the migrant crisis?
Absolutely, and the way that the Labour government gaslit the public when the migrants were first moved in there, saying, you know, you guys are absolutely being mad. Crowborough is a quiet, leafy town in East Sussex. These people, you can see, have been pushed to their absolute limit. They're not the types that you usually see protesting about this sort of thing. But that town has been absolutely desecrated.
You're ruining the country. Get Keir Starmer out. Look, England's flag. You're useless. Labour parties are useless.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, I've got to tell you that we want to have some fun this weekend. It's the bank holiday weekend. The weather is good across the country. Some of you are working throughout. May God bless you. I shall be here on air today, tomorrow and Monday in for Ian Collins. But we're going to have some fun. We're going to enjoy the weather and we're also going to enjoy the sport. It's been a fantastic week. Aston Villa winning the Europa Cup and, of course, the announcement of the England squad. Let me be very clear about this. We're going to win the World Cup. Let's take a listen to the England manager, Thomas Tuchel, talking about his England squad.
I think from day one we were very clear that we are trying to select and build the best possible team, which is not necessarily to select and collect the 26 most talented players. Teams win championships. It's as simple as that. And what we are trying to achieve in summer can only be achieved as a team.
Is it coming home? Can we win the World Cup? And let's get reaction to that fantastic win for Aston Villa, one of England's great football clubs. Who better to ask and discuss it with than Rupert Bell, talkSPORT reporter, of course, very regularly on this show for royal stuff. But Rupert, a significant figure at our sister station, talkSPORT. Morning, Rupert.
Good morning. I think you brought me in because I was in Istanbul with Prince William, so you've managed to find a crossover.
Of course we have.
I think that's the reason. But morning, I'm still recovering from quite a trip. So anyway,
actually, let's talk about that because I was so happy for you. As you know, Rupert, we are massive fans of yourself here on Talk, and we love having you on the show, whatever the subject. But Aston Villa winning one of the biggest cups out there, the Europa League. It's a major trophy for a club with a fantastic history.
Yeah, one of the founding fathers. OK, it's been 44 years since we won the European Cup. But I do think, you know, look, I'm biased. I'm a season ticket holder. I go as often as I can and had the privilege of being in Istanbul on Wednesday night with my youngest son. It was a trip full of great memories and great moments. But obviously, for a club like Aston Villa, you see the size of the club, and the people who turned out for the victory parade within 24 hours' notice to turn up on Thursday evening gives a magnitude that it's not all about the big six. And I think that's part of one of the problems that other football fans outside the big six have, is that it's very difficult for other teams to join the big party. Well, hopefully Aston Villa can continue and kick on. But I will never forget those 48 hours I've just experienced in Istanbul as a moment to be there. In the crowd was just sensational. And Prince William obviously hasn't done his PR any harm by his actions during, after and since that trip to Istanbul. It's been very good PR for him.
Well, Prince William is not a plastic supporter, is he? Lots of public figures pretend to be suddenly interested in football and they randomly pick a team. I think it was David Cameron who at one point forgot which team he supported. With Prince William, he is the real deal. He loves the Villa and has done for a long, long time.
Absolutely. Look, there's even pictures when he was in an organisation at Eton called POP, which is a sort of select group of Vitonians. He even had his waistcoat made up as a Villa waistcoat from the shirt of the time. So this is not something that he's just faked over the last couple of years. Look, he's president of the Football Association. He was at the Cup final last week. He looked bored witless by it. It was a pretty boring match because he couldn't get invested. He was like the rest of us, you know. Of course, we watched their FA Cup final, but we're not invested. Look, he's got his official capacity as he had then, but you could see in the off-duty moment then with the players who he turns up at Bodymoor Heath whenever he likes almost. You know.
Apparently, he WhatsApps the players.
Well, look, they're practically on speed dial. I mean, he genuinely cares about the club, and he's so invested, and it's great. But obviously, we assume he'll be going out to America. He will be invested in England as president of the FA, and we've seen him at England matches, whether it be women's or men's matches, and he's right up for it. So I'm sure in his official capacity, he will be going to the States to watch matches for England. And I don't quite share your optimism, Mark, for us.
It's coming home, Rupert.
Well, I know you're a glass half full man, but I just think it. But I did like what Thomas Tuchel said there. I'm building a team, and he's not for egos. You've got Harry Maguire's wife sort of saying, "I'm feeling so sorry for you." He's made it quite clear. My brief is to win the World Cup. I'm not going to bow to individuals who think they should be there. I just want to make sure I've got 26 people who ultimately will do the job for me. He doesn't want egos dancing around the camp who then don't get picked and then go off and have a hissy fit. You know, so I think this is it's a brave move, and hindsight might come back to bite him, you know, if it doesn't pan out right. But what he did, getting rid of Maguire, Palmer and Foden, there are one or two other sort of people who felt they should be on. And there are one or two slightly left field choices. But ultimately, you know, he's got to say, I want 26 people who will do what I ask them. And that, in many ways, Aston Villa is more than the collective, you know, more than the individuals. They are a team. And the same ethos, Thomas Tuchel, who's got a great track record as a club manager, is trying to do the same. And so while one or two people may be upset, at every World Cup selection process, there are people who are upset because that's what people want to be part of. It's the ultimate. But Thomas Tuchel is doing things his way. Now, let's hope his way is the right way.
Well, definitely, I admire the guy. As you said, he's delivered as a club manager. He's won all of the big honours. And he's not a company man, which I think is good news. I think too many previous managers have been in the pocket of the FA, the old gents in their double-breasted suits. And I think including Gareth Southgate, I know he got us to a final, but for me, he wasn't a very compelling personality. What you got with Tuchel is a man that knows his own mind with a great track record as a manager, and he's not afraid to roll the dice, is he? So he's chosen, for example, John Stones, who I understand has barely kicked a ball in anger this season. But the truth is, Rupert, that in life you're not going to be successful unless occasionally you gamble.
Absolutely, and I think that's what he's doing. I think Gareth Southgate didn't know how to go to a next level. He changed the ethos within the camp, and he did a really solid job, but ultimately just didn't find a way to get us over the line. And that's why they brought in Thomas Tuchel, with his sort of determination, his track record, which the players will all respect. So when they go and join the camp, you know, as he said, when Cole Palmer went, he just didn't give me what I was looking for. Well, then, if you don't perform in front of the manager of England in terms of what you bring to the team ethos, then it's always going to be hard for you to get on board. With Phil Foden, he hadn't got an idea where his best position is. So, you know, it's a tough one, you know, to do this. But I think that's why England, you know, should go with as much optimism as possible. I think it's still going to be a big ask because defensively we may not be quite as strong. But I'm very pleased, and I'm sure Prince William is delighted that Ollie Watkins is in the lineup, Morgan Rogers and Isri Konsa. The 3 Villa players have made it, so I'm sure William, who will know Thomas Tuchel, will probably send him a text saying, thank you for picking Ollie. So I have to say, good luck, and hopefully it will be a wonderful summer, and Thomas Tuchel will then get the freedom of everywhere, and this little spat about who's not playing will be forgotten about.
Most definitely. Well, look, we've got a slightly weaker defence, as you said, but a strong midfield and attack. I'll take that. Let's just go for Kevin Keegan tactics, which is to score more goals than them, Rupert, which is what you do every time you're on talkTV. You score goals with your royal truth bombs. And by the way, your numbers on YouTube are through the roof, which is quite something. Can I ask you about Pep Guardiola?
Yeah.
And a massive figure in English football now. A decade at Man City. He's won everything. What a legend.
Yeah, and also, sometimes knowing when to go.
Yeah.
He's got a year on his contract. And I think the guy has put his heart and soul into the last decade, and he's running on empty. He hasn't been able to get them to win the title this year. OK, they won last week. And he's probably saying, well, have I got... Because it's such a full-on job. You have to be so into it. I mean, to the cost of everything else, practically. So I think he's just saying, he's been doing this for so long and so successfully, enough is enough. Now, my brother is a Manchester City fan because of the great Colin Bell back in the day. Surprise, surprise. I spoke to him about it, and look, he's worried about the future because, it's been an incredible ride for all City fans. But all good things come to an end, and what Manchester City have to avoid is the sort of post-Sir Alex Ferguson slump.
Most definitely. Listen, Rupert, congratulations on Villa's victory at during the week. It really made me so happy. You were in Istanbul. I'm told that there is still FS Pilsner coursing through your veins, and rightly so. What a result for a great English club, and of course it's coming home in the World Cup. Rupert, we'll catch up really soon. Have an excellent weekend of sport. Rupert Bell there, Talk Sports reporter. So much more to get through. A big hour to come. Don't go anywhere.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
(8:02). Happy Saturday, one and all. Happy bank holiday weekend. Mark Dolan with you on Talk Breakfast today and tomorrow. And I'm covering Ian Collins on Monday, 1 till 4. So I'm working all bank holiday weekend, which I couldn't be happier about. But what are your plans for the bank holiday weekend? We've got lots of politics to get through today, but we want to have some fun as well. The weather's good. The sun's out. The guns are out. So what are your plans for this weekend? Are you working or are you going to have a staycation? Well, good luck with that, because breaking this morning, Labour's tax raid on the Great British Holiday as Rachel Reeves clubs Brits to the tune of £300 for a UK staycation. You heard me right. Taxes are going up in holiday destinations. You and I will be paying. So with hotels, bars and restaurants struggling, is this the final nail in the coffin for British hospitality? Meanwhile, Labour's political beauty contest turns ugly. So will Andy Burnham make a blind bit of difference if he becomes Prime Minister? Is he the real deal? Can Andy Burnham save Labour? My phone number is 03444991000. Text the word talk and your message to 87222. Leave us a voice note. Engineer Dave loves a voice note. You can hear us on the radio. You can also watch the show, because this is now a TV product as well. Just head to YouTube, search Talking Up We Pop. I promise you it's worth it, because you'll be able to see my amazing guests, including Matthew Goodwin Freeman waiting in the wings. Charlie Mullins, one of the country's highest profile entrepreneurs. We'll be talking about Reform UK and their candidate for the Makerfield by-election, who is a plumber. Don't forget, the brilliant, the fantastic Charlie Mullins is the king of the plumbers. So what do you think, folks? Andy Burnham, is he the real deal? Can he transform the fortunes of this Labour government? What are your plans for the bank holiday? So much to get through. As the saying goes, let's talk. Yes, indeed. What are you up to this weekend? Vinny says, Mark, pop down to Brighton. Over a tenner a day to park, if you can get a space, before you've even started. Kevin, Southampton, I'm walking my 2 dogs in the forest and leaving my mobile phone at home, getting away from this crazy world. What a great thing to do on a bank holiday weekend. Maureen says, Mark, I'll be watching Spurs decimate Everton tomorrow. Come on, you Spurs. And Maureen has given me a little kiss. Mwah! Straight back at you, Maureen. Simon in East Grinstead, meanwhile. Morning, Mark. I'll be watching the mighty Hammers hopefully win and send you lot down. Enjoy your weekend, Simon. Thank you for that. Well, we're going to bring you a bit of coverage of the Premier League tomorrow, because it is a big day for Tottenham and for West Ham as they fight for Premier League survival. Lisa says, Mark, great show. I love your guest, Mike Neville, the retired cop. Mike Neville for Prime Minister, and Burnham is just a weather-vane politician. And finally, this from Zoe in Lancashire. Good morning, Mark. I think you're a great presenter. Love listening to you on Talk. Zoe, thank you for that. You make sense of what I can only describe as a crap show of a government. Zoe, thank you for that. I wish they were doing better. I love this country. And if Starmer did the right things, if he lowered taxes so we can have economic growth and support businesses that employ people, if he stopped the boats, if he got immigration down to sensible levels and it was high quality, productive immigration based on integration, if we drilled baby drill and built a few houses and had cheap energy and a sensible country that lived within its means, I would be so happy. Unfortunately, that is not the government that we've got. Someone with designs on power is Matthew Goodwin Freeman, Conservative councillor and political commentator. Hi, Matthew.
Hey, Mark, how are you? That was a lovely introduction as well. I think everything you said there, maybe it should be Mark Dolan for Prime Minister, actually. I think, you know, that's the vision of the country that we all want, a country that gets Britain going.
We can but dream. What I would say is good luck with that, because you would have to release me from the clutches of talk.
It would never happen.
And I just don't think that's going to be
You're never
viable.
allowed out of this studio, frankly. No. We don't let you out. You just live in the corner whilst other presenters keep your seat warm.
There's a bunk bed. I'm Ian Collins next week, which means I'll be the smoothest guy on the radio. And then, the following week, I'm Kevin O'Sullivan. I'm going to be feisty.
Brilliant. Have you got the impressions and accents sorted out?
I do, and I've already purchased the Brill cream for when I'm Kev. So let me tell you, the finest mane on this network.
Right, back to what we're here to talk about.
Back to business. Well, let's talk about that. Now, I'm actually really, really concerned by this, and my viewers and listeners are well annoyed as well.
Yeah.
Front page of the Telegraph, 300 quid tax on your summer staycation. I noticed in the corner of my eye you shaking your head when I mentioned that earlier.
More tax under a Labour government. Who on earth would have thought it? Yeah, so the holiday tax, effectively. If you want to stay here in Britain and go to certain parts of the country to spend your money here and enjoy actually the really nice weather we're going to have, don't you worry, Labour will take more of your money. It's more money grab. No surprise that London's going to be involved with this tourist tax as well. You know, Sadiq Khan loves to take a few pounds off of us Londoners, but it's another tax, it's another squeeze, and you heard from the comments coming in. It's everything as well. The parking goes up, the accommodation goes up. There's just so much. Every single thing
when you have a bite
is being squeezed.
When you have a bite to eat in a restaurant, you'll be shouldering the cost of the national insurance tax rate on the restaurant, on inflation, which affects the goods that they're selling, and on the red tape which has been foisted upon them, and the minimum wage. I mean, it's just, you know, it's a real quicksand.
But don't forget, Mark, this Labour government was elected to tread more lightly on the backs of working people, to get up their hands out of our pockets. They wouldn't raise taxes on working people. Well, you show me a working person whose taxes haven't gone up. They said they cut our energy bills when actually energy bills are going up. Tax, tax, tax. It's in Labour's DNA.
Isn't it crazy now, Matthew, that you have to be rich to take a holiday in your own country, that it's cheaper to jump on a cheap flight to Lanzarote than holiday in your own land?
Well, I mean, the problem is a lot of the rich are leaving this country as well. Remember, we've had 250,000 millionaires leave this country. I think 100,000 young people have left this country. That's the taxpayers of tomorrow, but also the entrepreneurs, the businesses, the employees of tomorrow leaving this country. So we have a real deficit growing in this country now. It is an absolute disaster. But hey, don't worry, Labour will blame everything apart from themselves, despite now being in for 2 years. You'd think after 2 years they'd either take responsibility or we'd start seeing things turn around. They're just not.
And if you were Prime Minister, surely you would prioritise hospitality and you would prioritise staycations, as they're known. If you were Prime Minister, you would want your citizens to holiday here. The reason why is because that would support the economy.
Exactly.
Because the folk are taking their hard-earned cash and they're spending it in the Lake Districts.
Every pound, every penny will be going here. Yes, one of the things that came out this week, actually, was the success of the Eat Out to Help Out scheme under Rishi Sunak. Now, I know there was a lot of controversy at the time about getting people out of lockdown and things like that, but the actual success, the data has shown that it supported businesses in the UK to recover months faster than they would have. It pushed the country 5% further on growth straight after the pandemic, was a direct consequence of getting this country the fastest growing out of it. So actually, things like that, an Eat Out to Help Out scheme, a Stay in Britain scheme, a Support Your Businesses scheme, that's what this country needs to be doing instead of taxing us to the hilt.
Would you like to be Prime Minister one day, in all seriousness?
I love being a local councillor, which I've just won my seat again, so that's what I want to...
Would you rule out an ambition to be Prime Minister one day?
Every young person thinks that they could do a better job and wants to be Prime Minister. Who knows what the future's going to bring? But
is that a yes?
Oh, well, look, if Keir Starmer gave me a phone call and said, Matthew, I've completely messed this up, I think you want to have a run at it, go for it, then maybe Burnham might have a word. But, you know, look, at the end of the day, I love what I'm doing. Who knows what the future's going to be? I want to be in Parliament. I want to be an MP. I want to be a councillor. I want to make a difference. I want to change things. I want to fix things. There's so many problems in this country that someone just needs to go, actually, do you know what? let's sort this out. And that's sort of what I believe in.
And that's quite rare for a young person because, and I adore our young, they are our future, but a lot of them don't engage in the political process. They
never understood it.
No, I think some of them have just checked out and they think, what's the point? But that's not your attitude.
Well, I got involved in politics when I was 15. I was part of the youth parliament. I wanted to become a local councillor. I spent 6 years building up to become a local councillor. I've just done my first term. I've got re-elected with the largest increase of votes out of any councillor in Harrow. We've got a massive majority. We've got one of the safest majorities in the country now. I'm in one of the cabinet members now. I love what I'm doing. I have ambitions, but right now my focus is where I live and home, in Harrow, in Hatch End. But let's not see what the future has.
Prove your mettle there, make your mistakes there, learn the ropes there.
I don't think people should run up that, and I think that's a lot of the issues we've got with the current generation of politicians. A lot of them, especially a lot of these Labour MPs, were just spads or PAs who were chucked into seats that they never expected to win and ended up winning.
Charity sector, local government.
You need a track record of getting things done and delivering, making a difference for your local area and showing that actually I'm not a party politician, I get things done. You can call people out. You can call your own party out. I do believe in discourse and debate. You know, we live in a world where you can't even debate people anymore. You just get hate and being told that you're wrong. We need to agree to disagree at times. So, yeah, I think young people have to engage in politics because it's their future that it matters. It's their future it impacts. So get involved, stand for elections, put yourself forward.
I've noticed with the progressive left, I've got loads of mates on the left. I don't cancel them because that's not what the right do, it turns out. How ironic.
The lovely, fluffy left.
Who knew? But I welcome all opinions. I read The Guardian every day. It makes me mildly nauseous, but I do it because I want to see what they're up to and what the other side think. But I've noticed something with my lefty pals, which is that facts don't work.
No, it's again opinion. They are right and you are wrong.
And feelings.
Yes.
So
well, they're right. You're wrong, Mark. You've got to accept it. You're just wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're not right. You're wrong. That's all it is. And I'm sorry, but we have to get to a place in this country where we can agree to disagree. We can have genuine debate. It can be proper argumentative debate at times. But we'll agree to disagree at some point. There isn't this universal opinion in the world. No one is ever fully right, fully wrong. You have to realise people have different opinions. Oh, well, of course. But he's always right. Make sure you get, you know.
I think a lot of it is the hair with Kev, I've got to say.
I'm going to be watching this next week to see how you embody Kev. I think it's going to be fantastic.
We love Kev and we love Ian. I'm in for both of them the next couple of weeks. But I want to ask you, Matthew, joking aside, if you were Prime Minister, OK, and you had a decent majority, what would you do?
I mean, Labour could change this country for the better.
Do you want to take me through the kind of manifesto?
So the NHS burns through £1 million every 4 minutes. Labour could solve inefficiency in the NHS overnight by bringing in actual performance standards, actual KPIs, getting rid of a lot of the DEI. When you talk about stopping the boats,
artificial intelligence as well would be a big saver for the NHS.
Other countries around the world are using it. Why aren't we?
I don't mind ChatGPT reading my my X-rays.
Well, the point is that other countries are using it in the world. We need to look at what they're doing and take the best bits for ourselves.
We could give up letters, couldn't we?
Well, I mean, again, your letters turn up 4 days after your appointment as well, so that's a bit pointless. I remember Labour saying that they would bring in a new stamp for the NHS to make sure your letters arrived on time. Still haven't seen that. Probably it's delayed in the post.
I need my relative needed a procedure a while ago, and the GP wrote a letter to the hospital.
That's ridiculous.
The NHS...
Pick up the phone or send an email.
Wood pigeon?
Yeah, send it by pigeon carrier. And
well, anyway, no, I got my cousin got a circumcision, and the way that was organised was smoke signals.
Oh God! But anyways, the point is, like, there's so many other things. Look at immigration, for example. We could leave the ECHR tomorrow. We could be patrolling the Channel with the Navy. We could be stopping these boats, putting them into detention centres, not hotels, and deporting them straight away.
Really? Would you detain illegals?
What Trump did in the first few weeks of cargo carriers on the tarmac. You get picked up at the border, you get taken to the airport, you put back in the plane and flown back within a day. I think that is what we need to do in the UK.
Would you look at the Human Rights Act and the Refugee Convention, or are they sacred?
We have to have a British Human Rights Act, adopting it for 2026, not when it was brought in. We need to understand that times have changed and the world has changed, but also everyone now says maybe the Rwanda plan could have worked, maybe the... We were saying this at the time, and other countries are introducing the Rwanda plan. Germany is introducing a version of the Rwanda plan. They're using the facilities in Rwanda that are British taxpayers' money paid for. So why can they do it and we can't because our judges and our courts say we're not able to. I'm sorry, but this is where we have to stop playing politics, stop listening to the civil service, frankly, and do what the British public want, which is put our interests first.
I love everything you've said, and I think many of my viewers and listeners will as well. Are you overestimating what can be achieved? Are you underestimating how hard it is to have a radical agenda?
Anything can be achieved if you are willing to make those decisions. Labour have a majority we have not seen for generations. If they want to decide we're going to get rid of elections tomorrow, they could. If they wanted to push through that we're going to get rid of the civil service, they could.
We can but dream.
All of these things the government of the day can do if you have a majority. It is that willingness to push it through, to whip your MPs, and to actually say, we are doing this, and if you don't want it, I'll call an election and you'll lose your seats.
Matthew, I think you've proved your mettle, because I had a discussion with Liz Truss, no less, this week.
Okay.
I was lucky enough to be on her show, which is called The Liz Truss Show. It's on YouTube. I'd highly recommend people check it out. Brilliant interviewer, former Prime Minister, a very talented person who was stitched up by the blob, and that's what happened around the mini-budget. They literally withheld information about our pensions liabilities before that notorious mini-budget. Of course it was poorly executed. She tried to move too fast, too quickly. Anyway, but I had her on, and she had me on, and we were discussing the power of political will. And that goes a long way. That is the special sauce in government, is political will. Living proof of that is Donald J. Trump. Now, he ain't perfect, and it's a hot mess in the Middle East at the moment, but he unilaterally closed the southern border, as you mentioned. He's improved the terms by which America trades with the world. He has made it cheaper to use energy. The guy is the embodiment of what political will looks like.
But the reason why is because he has a vision. There is no vision with this government in the UK. I do not know what Keir Starmer stands for, other than being the son of a toolmaker. Did you know he was son of a toolmaker? Did everyone know he was son of a toolmaker?
Really?
Can we check that?
Well, you're
Can we get that checked,
that
please?
Starmer Senior produced a useful tool.
It's the only tool he's ever made. The fact is, there is no vision in this government at the moment. That's the problem. And you look at Donald Trump, you look at leaders around the world, they have a clear agenda and a clear vision, putting their country
They've all
first.
improved the fortunes of their country, those people.
Whereas we've improved the fortunes of the unions and, who was it? Oh, yes, Peter Mandelson, Lord Ali. Who else have we improved the fortunes for? Yeah. Not British working people.
He's coming in hot today. I'm delighted to say Matthew Goodwin-Freeman is staying with us. Isn't he just the best? Folks, a simple question for you. Is Andy Burnham the answer for Britain? Your calls next, 8:19 Talk Breakfast.
The Crown is facing its gravest test in decades, and the royalty from Talk is your front row seat. With royal reputations under pressure and probing questions about public trust, we unpack every twist and revelation with the biggest names in the business. From the throne room at Buckingham Palace to a mansion in Montecito, we follow every royal ripple. Never miss a moment of The Crown in crisis. Subscribe to the royalty from Talk on the app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Two streets! No streets! Two streets!
some breaking news here. The Crowborough Army Training Camp could hold male asylum seekers all the way until 2030. After the Home Office claimed it would only be for 12 months. Not much ambition involved in that, is there, in terms of solving the migrant crisis?
Absolutely, and the way that the Labour government gaslit the public.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Listen, it's Talk Breakfast. Lovely to have your company. It's 8:22. Mark in Croydon, we're talking about the staycation. Rachel from Accounts, Rachel Reeves, is going to clobber UK holidaymakers with an extra £300 in taxes. It's a terrible idea, really bad for hospitality. It should be the cheapest option to go on holiday in your own country. It should be an act of patriotism. But these days, it's cheaper to go abroad. Mark in Croydon, good morning, Mark. The cost of going anywhere in the UK is a total joke. I recently did a day trip to Madrid, £60 return flight, return train to Brighton, 40. Make it make sense. Mark, thank you for that. And that is the contradiction at the heart of this tax raid on holidaymakers, is that it shouldn't be that a short train ride in East Sussex is the same price as a flight abroad.
And you know what's going to happen? That train will probably be delayed, will be packed, will be hot and sweaty, and when you get to the beach in Brighton, you won't find a space for your towel at all. I mean, it is crazy. It's that we should be putting this country first. We should be saying to people, if you want to go on holiday in Britain, we'll make it cheaper for you. Actually, we'll subsidise it for you, because the money goes back in the pot. It comes back into our country, supporting local businesses, supporting those high streets, supporting entrepreneurs in this country with an Airbnb instead of going abroad and spending that money elsewhere.
Most definitely. Josie is in Leicester in the East Midlands. Hi, Josie.
Hi, Mark. How are you? You're right.
I'm very well. Listen, before we get to the really important topic of illegal immigration, which is a living nightmare, can I ask you about your plans for the bank holiday weekend? What are you up to?
So today I'm just going to chill. Tomorrow I'm having a garage clear out, and I'm just chilling, enjoying the weather.
Now, Josie, tell me, what is in that garage?
Oh, you don't want to know. Years and years of hoarding stuff.
Josie, I hope there are no ex-husbands in there.
Oh, no, I've been there ages ago, mate.
Glad to hear it. Well, look, good luck with the clear out. That's a good opportunity, and the weather will be nice. And Leicester is actually, when it's sunny, there's nice things to do in Leicester. Lots of beer gardens and restaurants outside, all of that stuff.
Yeah. We were out last night, and we were in the beer garden pub last night, just drinking away. It was really nice to see old people around, older friends, should I say. Yeah, it was brilliant. Yeah, really nice.
Well, Josie, look, we're so glad that you've called the show, and I want to talk about the boats, because it's essentially three things, really. It's a humanitarian disaster because people die crossing the channel. It's an economic disaster because it's costing us billions. Half of these people will stay. It's also a national security nightmare. We don't know who these people are, and it makes us less safe. What's your view?
100%. As soon as they come in, deport them. Deport a lot of them. We don't want them here. They're not a benefit to us at all. And the other thing, I want to talk about the Boris wave that's come in.
Yeah.
You know, when they go and apply for their visas, right, I would say, can you prove your working visa by your P60s for the time you've been here, out to your family members, how many of you work? And if only one, rest of them go back. This is how you're going to control immigration. Because why do we have to prove our P60s when we're applying for a mortgage or anything like that? But yet they just come in without a P60, buy a property, take over our house. We can't sell, we can't let them buy our properties without any P60s, without working in this country. How is that happening here? What's going on here? Isn't that obvious? Have a P60, 5 years. Have you worked in this country? Have you contributed? No. Off you go then. Why are your kids getting free education under one person working it out of your family members that are 7 or 8? I don't think so. It doesn't work like that. Bring in P60 as part of immigration laws. And that, I tell you what, they can't get out of that one.
Josie, you're so right. Before I come to Matthew, why has this happened? Why have the establishment been asleep at the wheel when it comes to immigration?
Are you talking to me or Matthew?
Yeah, well, no, I'm going to ask Matthew in a minute, but I want to know what you think. I want to know why this has happened.
Well, all I know is the Boris wave. I could have literally overnight, everybody in Leicester were talking about what the hell is going on here? Why have we got all these people here? What's going on? Nothing is crossed and ticked off from, like, say, okay, let's say we've got a shortage of people, okay, in XYZ, you know, in
care homes,
whatever.
fruit pickers, yeah.
Yeah, whatever, whatever it is. Why then we've not gone out somewhere and say, right, okay, we only take on this amount of people, but fully knowledge, skilled, fluent English, and that's the only way that you will able to come into the UK to work in our services. Not a problem with that. But when you've got people here that can't even speak a word of English and walking around like ghettos, that's just a joke.
Well, Josie, it is. Did you know, Josie, I'm going to make you even angrier this morning and put your blood pressure up, which is that, you ready for this? Half of the Boris wave. So we were told the Boris wave, we needed that because of care homes and other low-skilled areas where there's a gap, okay? So first of all, that the people that work, that's going to be expensive because they're low pay, which means they will require subsidised housing and in-work benefits. So even if they do work in a care home, there's still a cost to the taxpayer. But it gets worse, Josie, because half of the Boris wave will never work.
Well, we know that because we see it all day long. We see it on the streets. The supermarkets never used to be full all day long at 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. It's full. It's absolutely full. So you know they're not working. It is so obvious to a person that's out all day working. You know, I've worked from the age of 13. I've not shied away from work. They don't want to work. They make out that they're working or they're doing something. They're not. They're just like, honestly, it's like ghettos. It's like the third world has just landed overnight.
Josie, you're right about that. Your reaction, Matthew Goodwin, I mean, follow that.
We need to be tougher in this country. At the end of the day, if you're not coming to this country to contribute, then why are you coming here? My first job was being a cleaner at school. I stayed a couple of hours after school, cleaned the desk, cleaned the toilets, did that as my first job.
Fair play to you.
There is no job below anyone. Now, a lot of these people want to say, oh, I want to do this or I want to do that, but I don't have the skills and qualifications, so I need to learn. I'm sorry, but no. You can grab a litter picker and go do some litter picking down the street. You can go grab some tarmac and fill in some potholes for us in this country. We need to start thinking differently about this in this country. All of the immigrants coming to this country, the question has got to be, what are you bringing to Britain? Are you bringing skills? Are you bringing a value that we need? Or are you simply a body? And if you are not bringing something positive to the equation, we need to say, I'm sorry, no. And if they have to stay here for whatever reason or whatever judge has said or whatever ECHR malarkey, we need to say enough's enough. We either need to leave the ECHR, we need to create these new roles where it's saying, actually, no, you're going to go to your local council, they'll give you a shovel and a spade, you can go clear the streets, you can go fill in potholes, you can go and actually contribute. We should be doing that in this country, and there are millions and millions of people out there who will not get a job because it is below them. I'm sorry, but that's got to change.
Josie, thank you. Have a brilliant day. Good luck with the garage clear out. In a moment, I'm going to come to John, but Josie and I are old enough to remember a time when we had the right policies on immigration, Matthew. Now, you're younger with a very big future in broadcasting and in politics, but what age are you?
26.
So you've basically only witnessed this very low quality immigration. What we had in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s before Blair was sensible levels of legal immigration. It was high quality immigration.
Quality,
people
not
with
quantity.
Fantastic skills who were going to come and contribute to the country. And there was the expectation of integration. Exactly. That was the deal. That was how immigration worked. It all changed. Why has it changed?
Well, this I think the governments...
What's going on?
Governments of all colours have taken their eye off the ball. When the illegal immigration crisis was happening with the small boats, the Conservative government was so focused on trying to stop this and come up with a small solution to the problem, which was a small percentage. You know, look, the small boats is about 40,000 people. Under the Conservatives, we messed up. immigration as a whole got to nearly 1 million because of legal immigration. We opened up visa routes for everything, opened up all of these channels that you could come in and basically listened to any pity story there was. We needed to have stopped that. But because we were so focused on the small boats, we took our eye off the ball there. That's why this government now, with a huge majority, needs to deal with it. Now, legal migration numbers are coming down. Brilliant. The small boats are still going on. That needs to be stopped. But that's the point. It's a whole mix. There are so many factors. You need to be coming to this country to make a difference. You need to be coming to this country to contribute. And as you said, integrate. You don't come to this country because you want to bring your country here. You come to Britain for a reason.
But the left are telling these people don't integrate.
Well, that's wrong.
The left are saying it's good if you don't integrate because that's multiculturalism.
Well, I'm sorry, but that's just absolute baloney. The left need to realise that this is Britain. We are still a British country. And at the end of the day, we need to understand that integration is key to bring about diversity. You can't live in your own separate worlds. We have to all integrate behind the Britishness and the British culture.
With me live in the studio, Matthew Goodwin Freeman, Conservative councillor and political commentator. Is Andy Burnham the answer for Britain? John's in Burnley. Top of the morning, John.
Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning.
Lovely to have you on the show. What do you think about Burnham? Is he like, you know, Jesus Christ? Does he walk on water? Is he the second coming?
Right. Do you know, Mark? Right, they can put anybody they want in front of that Labour Party. As far as I'm concerned, they could even put Nigel Farage or Rupert Law in front of that party, and I would not vote for him.
Yeah.
All of Labour, as far as I'm concerned, are stained on belief. All of the party, just not that one man who's sitting at front of that bench. It's all of them. All the ideology, everything about that party is stained. So they can go and put Jesus Christ in front of that party, Mark, and I still wouldn't vote for him. So, yeah, it's just not going to make a difference.
I think you're right, because the problem you got, John, it's the ideas of that party that are so wrong, isn't it?
Of course it is, yeah. It's everything about Labour now is just a radical left-wing ideology. That's all Labour stands for now.
Yeah.
They stand everything that I stand for, which is common sense. That's it. And they don't want common sense, so they can put anybody they want in front of that party, and it's not going to work.
And they couldn't give two figs about the working class, could they?
Oh, no, absolutely not. And I'm just going to go on to my second point now, Mark, about that, because do you remember when they said they were going to start taxing single people on the 25% tax?
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, love and behold, I got a letter from the tax, my council, the other day, asking questions about if I deserve to have the 25% single tax or not.
Oh.
So it's not like, so they're not, they're just going after everything. So now they're going after people like me, Mark. Now, I just want to make this clear, Mark, right? I'm not a rich guy, I'm on minimum wage, and I have a life-threatening condition. I live on my own, and I get on my hands and knees every day and have to crawl out that front door to work, Mark, to try and pay my bills, because no one else is there to help me. It's me and me only. That's it. So they sent a letter through saying, can you explain these people who used to live at your property in the past? Well, this is 15, 20 years ago. How do I know where people live or what they're up to in this day and age now from 15, 20 years ago? It's just impossible.
That is a sick joke. So, John, you're on the minimum wage and you're working very hard, and do you have a health condition?
Yeah, I've got Crohn's disease.
Well, which is a devastating condition, and you'd be entitled, John, to benefits and put your feet up, but that's not a choice that you've made.
No, I can if I want to, I can take all my medical notes, all my history and that, but I choose not to. I want to work. As much as suffering I do, I will crawl on my hands and knees out to that front door and I'll go and try and make a wage.
And there are days when I know about that illness, there are days when you can barely imagine leaving the house, right?
Well, that's what he said. That's how it's got for me now, Mark, because of my age as well. As I'm getting older, it's getting a lot harder to manage, so I have to keep taking more meds and stuff like that to keep it under control. And so, yeah, it's an absolute... It's like you're living in your own little prison, if you will.
Well, it is. My heart goes out to you, John, and I really hope that you've got a lot of support for your Crohn's. Briefly, John, what do you work at?
I work with mental health, people with learning disabilities and stuff like that.
That is a fantastic thing that you do. John, I'm going to tell you now that you are a legend and a hero. You're a rock star. You're the Don. You are the boss, okay?
Thanks, pal. Thank you.
I really mean that. I've got such a high regard for you, all of my audience. But, John, we're going to put that on X and on YouTube, and this is going to go viral. And I really appreciate it. And by the way, big guy, give me a call soon, because you're on the minimum wage. You're entitled to stay at home because the welfare state is a safety net. You can bear. You don't have the physical ability to work, but you do. And then the work you do is to support people who have got mental health problems. Briefly, are you getting a break over the weekend? Are you going to do anything nice?
No, I'm at work. I'm working all weekend. That's the thing with our job. Yeah, we don't get break or extra pay or anything like that. We have to just plough through it, unfortunately.
Well, listen, man, you're the king, and I really, really look forward to speaking to you again soon. Will you stay in touch with me, John, and have a good working weekend? I think that tells you everything. I don't have to repeat that. Dean, let's put that on the internet. That's another viral. I reckon Elon will retweet that. John.
John is... I hope he's still listening, but I have a friend who's got Crohn's. My heart goes out to John.
Debilitating.
Exactly.
Just for those that don't know, I'm not a medic, even though my mother would love me to have been. This is a digestive disorder, and you are in a world of pain, discomfort, and there are some practical issues which mean that you need the toilet.
Just excruciating pain constantly, and always needing to either go to the loo or just take yourself out for a moment. I'm really sorry to what John's going through. He is exactly the good thing that British people are trying to be in this country. I'll still work. I don't want to take benefits. I'm going to work hard. I believe in hard work. And for some reason, he can't get the support he needs because everybody else is taking that resource. Also, the thing with the council, I mean, I'm sorry, but that's exactly the thing. You'll get a letter and letters in the post that are costing taxpayers money about stuff that's completely irrelevant. It's a waste of time. And to top it all off, he's working with people with mental health issues and learning difficulties. Right, that's the situation we've got to in this country. People like John, working damn blooming hard, putting their life literally on risk every day to get out of bed and get to work, and then you could turn up in a small boat, get put in a hotel, get everything paid for you, benefits and everything, and hey, a lovely chance of staying in this country for the rest of your life, never having to work. The system is utterly broken. We have to fix this. We can't, I can't, I'm not in government. But the Labour Party right now are in charge with a massive majority. And his points about the Labour Party are completely right. It doesn't matter who they pick as leader, whether it's Andy Burnham, Wes Streeting, No Brainer Rayner or Net Zero Miliband. It does not matter. They have broken their promise to the country of change. They have been hypocritical. They have lied through their teeth. They have a track record of disaster in just 2 years. It took us 14 years to blow up. I'm sorry, but the Labour have put the final nail in the coffin for them. We need change, and frankly, I don't care who the next government is. It's got to be not Labour.
Matthew, we love having you in the studio. Thank you for a brilliant contribution to our discussion this morning. Matthew Goodwin-Freeman, Conservative councillor, political commentator. Are you doing anything nice over the bank holiday weekend?
I will be enjoying the sun, getting the guns out and trying to get a bit of a tan.
Those lucky girls. You are listening to Talk Breakfast. Is Andy Burnham the future for this country? 8:39. Don't go anywhere.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Shocking headlines in the papers today. Daily Telegraph, £300 tax on your summer staycation. Now, if we lived in a sensible world and if we had a sensible country, it would be cheaper to go on holiday in your own land. It would be cheaper to have a staycation. But Britain is now so expensive, it's actually cheaper to go overseas. And it's going to get worse because the Chancellor is going to charge an extra 300 quid for that UK staycation. Make it make sense. Sally is in West Sussex. Morning, Sally.
Good morning, Mark. And is Matt still there?
Matt, do you know what? Matt has now sneaked out of the studio and he's made himself a cup of tea because I don't want anyone to... By the way, what do you think of Matthew?
Matthew, I think he's great. Yeah, he speaks a lot of common sense. That's what we all need, don't we?
Well, listen, he heard that and he's very flattered. Sally, I'm so glad you've called the show. I don't think you call radio stations very often, do you?
No, I'm a bit shy.
Well, listen, you are so welcome here on Talk Breakfast. And I'm really shocked about this because staying in your own country for the holiday, it should be the cheap option. But because we're living in a clown world, it's actually more expensive to be on holiday here.
It does seem that way, but I'm going to sort of throw a proverbial sort of spanner in the works because
Go for it.
I live not far from a couple of well-known seaside towns. You know, Brighton, we've got Littlehampton, etc.
Hove.
And we've got, Hove, Hove actually. Yeah, we've got a different set of circumstances down here because we've got that lovely thing called the salty sea air, which erodes a lot of stuff. And if the money that's being spent, say like it's £1 a night on a room, which I understand it's to be, and when people and tourists come down, I'm all for it because we've got so much to fix down here. You know, OK, you could say your local council should spend their money more wisely, but I think it's a bit broader than that. You know, especially in places like where I live.
Well, Sally, listen, I completely agree with you. And what we need to encourage people to go on holiday in their own country, to stay in hotels and B&Bs, to eat in restaurants, to drink in pubs. That is how we're going to have an advantage, isn't it?
Absolutely, and you can guarantee down here this weekend it's going to be rammed, which is lovely. You know, it's nice to see people enjoying themselves, but also, you know, we want people to, add to the economy as you're talking about. But we've got to fix the place up when everybody goes home, if you see where I'm coming from.
No, I really, really do. I mean, what do you make about the idea that local mayors are going to charge visitors a tax for staying in some of our scenic spots?
I suppose it depends how it's done. I mean, I know abroad you already pay a tax, don't you?
Yeah, Barcelona, places like that.
Etc. And I think it works well, to be fair. I mean, say, for example, Brighton Pier, I think you pay a levy, to, a little bit of money to go on there, which is fine, because they cost an awful lot to maintain.
Yeah.
And we've got to keep those, because that's part of the reason why people come down, don't they?
Yeah, and you don't have to go on the pier if you don't want to spend the money, right?
You don't have to. You can go down the pub if you want, etc. There's plenty of them. There's a lot to maintain. Beach cleaning. People don't think about that when they come down.
But Sally, listen, I agree with everything that you're saying. If that money, the extra tax, went towards maintenance and upgrading things, I think a lot of my viewers and listeners worry that this tax will just go into the bucket of waste.
Yes. And I do as well. I mean, I live along the coast and I worry about that as well. But, as long as it does, I'm all for it, and I'm probably going to get absolutely trashed by your listeners.
No way. No way. This is not an echo chamber, Sally, and what we like here is the competition of ideas, and your argument is that taxes in these scenic spots can help to upgrade these locations and future-proof them.
That's the way forward, definitely. We do need it. We really do. So.
If it goes to that, then I'm all in. My worry is that it's going to get spaffed up the wall by Rachel from accounts. But I do take your point, Sally. And by the way, so you are there in West Sussex, which is a beautiful part of the world. What are your plans for the weekend?
Right, so I'm off for a lovely dog walk in the woods, which is a bit cooler for the doggy with my daughter.
Lovely.
Family barbecue on Sunday, and then I'm going to go to our local beach, which I'm not going to reveal. Going to go and sit on there for a couple of hours with me mum on Monday.
Well, listen, your mum reared a good one. It's been lovely to have you on the show, Sally. And
Thanks,
do call me again soon. I think it's your first time. I look forward to chatting again. And Sally there is actually quite supportive of this tax on the part of local authorities in scenic spots, because her argument is that after the holidays, all these places need upgrading. They need investment. Look, if it goes to the right cause, happy days. It's like our taxes, isn't it? If the taxes went towards a good health service and police on the streets, none of us would mind. The problem we feel is that the taxes are going up and the public services are getting worse. What are you guys up to for the bank holiday weekend? Here's a lovely voice note from Alison.
Hi, Mark. It's Alison here in County Antrim. We've woken up to a lovely day today. My husband is working, so later on we're going to have a barbecue and just relax and try and enjoy the nice weather that we're having. I hope everybody has a lovely day today, and that's it really. By the way, my daughter went to see the Michael Jackson movie yesterday with her friends, and she said it was very good. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Well, there you go. I might take myself off to see that Jackson movie at some point. Alison, thank you for the lovely voice note. What are your plans for the bank holiday weekend? We're going to have some fun today because, of course, the sun's out and it's been a hard old year. So let's have some fun this whole weekend, actually. I'm doing Talk Breakfast tomorrow, as always, and I'm Ian Collins on Monday. So all of that's happening. And what about Andy Burnham? Is he the answer for Britain? Is he the real deal? 8:47 Talk Breakfast.
The Crown is facing its gravest test in decades, and the royalty from Talk is your front row seat. With royal reputations under pressure and probing questions about public trust, we unpack every twist and revelation with the biggest names in the business. From the throne room at Buckingham Palace to a mansion in Montecito, we follow every royal ripple. Never miss a moment of The Crown in crisis. Subscribe to the royalty from Talk on the app or wherever you get your podcasts.
I've got some breaking news here. The Crowborough Army Training Camp.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Is Andy Burnham the future? Here is a voice note from Paul.
Good morning, Mark. Paul up in a sunny Hartlepool. Can Burnham save the Labour Party? Well, I was listening to Burnham yesterday on the TV, and he said he gets it about immigration and that immigration is coming down. The boy's a fool, as are most members of the Labour Party and most Labour MPs. Hundreds of undocumented fighting age males came over yesterday and will carry on coming over every day that the weather conditions are right. This Labour government is seeing the destruction of this country, and we're bringing in people that simply would not adhere to our ways and will abuse our children and abuse our laws. I'm afraid it's going to be dreadful over the next few years, and it's all thanks to people like Burnham. Good morning.
Thank you for a great voice note. Next hour, calls, voice notes and your messages. It's all about your thoughts. A breaking royal news story now, and Prince William is taking a much harder line against Harry and Meghan than King Charles. Folks, it is war. Let's get reaction from the royal and entertainment reporter, Sarah Louise Robertson. Hi, Sarah Louise.
Mark, hello. I've missed you. How have you been?
I'm very well indeed. Fantastic to have you back on the show. Of course, you're now in charge of Digital Spy, which is massive for entertainment and royal stories. What do you make of this latest development?
Oh, it doesn't surprise me in the least, Mark. And we've known for a long time how Prince William feels about his errant brother, and in particular, his errant brother Harry's wife, the Duchess of Sussex. For William now, his disappointment has got to a point that he's almost resigned to their, shall we say, unroyal-like behaviour that they have displayed over the last several years. He sighs, he rolls his eyes. He's just fed up of it all. He really is. But I think William feels like much of the country does about them. But the difference is for Prince William is the danger that his brother Harry and his wife Meghan Markle present to him for when he does take the throne, because his father, King Charles, is insistent that Harry remains a Councillor of State. Now, some viewers might say, what's a Councillor of State? What does that mean? It means that if something happens to William when he's king, Harry would have the powers to act on behalf of him. That's not something Prince William's going to want to have happen, is he now, really? And that's not something the country's going to want to have happen as well. So I think while his father's still alive, his dad's not a well man, as we know. King Charles has got cancer, we all know that. And so I think William's just taking the soft, gentle approach right now. And okay, Dad, that's your choice. I get it. Harry's your son still. You are going to have that feeling that you want him back in the royal family. But when William does take to the throne, we're going to see a much harder line being taken by him, a much harder approach. Prince William is a man who does not suffer fools gladly. He's very like the late Queen, his beloved grandmother in that way. It's been instilled in him by her. All those afternoon teas that they were taking at Windsor Castle when he was a boy at Eton, the Queen was teaching him what's going to happen. She was showing him, this is what you do when you take over the throne. And William has learned from the best that there was, and that was the late Queen Elizabeth II. And it is always that duty and country comes before anything, before even family. It is your duty to the nation. That is what comes first and foremost. Now, that has been inputted in Prince William's mind since he was a little boy. He's a king in training. That was the job he was born to do, whether he likes it or not. That is his fate. And he has been set the most incredible example by the late Queen, his grandmother, and he will follow in her footsteps. And you'll see a very similar pattern. He's very similar to the late Queen. He's got that stoicism, that thing that I just love of we just get on with it.
Yeah.
That kind of man. And I think that's why the country respects Prince William, Mark, because he's a doer.
He most definitely is. Sarah Louise, you are ex-Daily Mail and now in charge of Digital Spy, who are massive for royal exclusives. You're one of the best connected journalists out there. What is your understanding of how William views his brother these days? What does William think of Harry, do you think?
As I said before, the line of disappointment, just bewildered and thinking, what on earth has happened to him? How has my brother been lost? And I think William has searched himself as well for answers to think, how has it all gone so wrong?
Does William still like his brother? Do they love each other?
I think when it comes to family and siblings, blood is thicker than water. And I think, yes, he does love him as a brother does. But does he like him? No.
And how much anger, Sarah Louise, how much anger and resentment it might be there on the part of William towards Harry? How angry is William about Harry, do you think?
Extremely angry. That's why I'm saying he loves him as a brother, but does he like the behaviour that Harry has displayed in the last several years? Absolutely not. He does not condone.
Would it be overstating it to say that William does not like his brother?
He doesn't like his brother's behaviour right now, in the way that his brother's acted.
Yeah.
He doesn't like the way he's been. He's disgusted by him. He's appalled.
Wow.
He's let down by him. He's angry. He's still a very, very, very angry man. He tries to roll his eyes. But a lot of this comes down, Mark, to Meghan Markle. She is the fly in the ointment. And William believes that if Meghan wasn't on the scene, this would never have happened. Never.
So William blames Meghan.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. This trouble all started when Meghan married Harry. They were rowing in the build-up to the wedding. Meghan upset Princess Catherine, William's wife, over the row to do with the children, the bridesmaids. It was a silly tiff, but William saw then Meghan's behaviour, and Meghan was dangerous. She was going to be a danger to the Waleses, and she was going to cause problems and dramas, unnecessary dramas. And as I say, William's a man who gets on with it. He's not into navel gazing, Mark, or psychobabble language, which we hear coming out of Hollywood, which has filled Harry's head with nonsense. William's a practical man. Okay, my dad's got cancer. It's sad, but I've got to get on with it. My wife's got cancer. It's horrible, but I've got to get on with it. I'm going to be the king. I've got to get on with it. That is what I have to get on with. He's not there saying, why me? This is awful. Why is all these horrible things in life happening to me? But he doesn't think like that, because he knows it's happening to millions of people around the world. William is a doer. He's not a taker. He's a giver. He's a doer. He gets on with
and he's not a victim. He's not a victim, Sarah Louise.
Exactly. That's exactly it, Mark. That's what I said. There's no navel gazing from him.
He hasn't had too much therapy, unlike H.
Oh, no. Look, William's someone who's advocated for people to improve their mental health. That is something he did when he set up the Heads Together Foundation, but not in the way that it's been weaponised by the Sussexes.
Most definitely. And I think there's a concern on the part of William regarding his father. He loves his father. He admires his father. But Charles has been a lot weaker on Harry. We had the Clarence House face-to-face, didn't we, in September of last year, which I think was a mistake, because it's more material for the next documentary, more material for Spare 2. This time it's personal. So the problem you got with Charles, and I don't want to criticise him because I really like our king as well, but he's creating a problem for William in the future, because when William becomes king, if Harry is in play as a royal, that's a major headache for William.
Well, this is it. So it goes back to what I was saying at the beginning. At the moment, Charles has made Harry a councillor of state.
Terrible.
It's a problem. So what William's going to have to do, and this is what I think William will do when he takes the throne, now this will obviously hinge on Harry still being married to that woman, Meghan Markle. So this all depends on that. If Harry is still married to Meghan, William will strip the titles. You've heard it here first. He will strip the titles. But if Harry's divorced from Meghan by that point, which he could be, who knows? It's a long time yet in the future. But if he's divorced by that point, William may take a different approach, a less harsh approach. Say, OK, Harry's now away from that woman. I'm going to try and repair my relationship with him. It'll take time, but let's bring him back into the royal family. But this is at the moment, we're talking a long way. This is all hypothetical if Harry is no longer with Meghan. If he is still with Meghan, bye-bye to Harry and Meghan. No more Duke and Duchess. That will be gone.
Briefly, do you think that a divorce between Harry and Meghan is now inevitable?
I'm amazed they've got this long. It's only because Harry's got 2 children with her. If one of the children was born in America, so he can't legally take Lily, the youngest, out of the States.
Wow.
Bring her back. Yes. Yeah. It's a very hard situation for Harry.
There you go. Sarah Louise Robertson, thank you. Keep it talk.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Phew, what a scorcher. 3 minutes past 9. Welcome to Talk Breakfast. Happy Saturday, one and all. Mark Dolan with you today and tomorrow. I'm in for Ian Collins all of next week. Happy Saturday and happy bank holiday weekend. What are your plans for the weekend? Are you working or are you going to take a staycation? Well, good luck with that, because breaking as we come on air, Labour's tax raid on the Great British Holiday, as Rachel Reeves clubs Brits to the tune of £300 for a UK staycation. With hotels, bars and restaurants struggling, is this the final nail in the coffin for British hospitality? Meanwhile, Andy Burnham would like to be our next Prime Minister, but will he make a blind bit of difference? Is he Starmer 2.0? What do you think? Is Andy Burnham the real deal? Can he save Labour? Can he save Britain? Now, my phone number is 0344 499 1000. Let me know your thoughts about Andy Burnham. Is he the answer? And what are your plans for the weekend? We're going to have some fun because the sun's out. It's been a hard year. This is Weekend Breakfast, and your weekend starts right here. Now, you can call us 0344 499 1000, text the word TALK in your message to 87222, or leave us a voice note. And as the saying goes, let's talk. You can hear us on the radio, DAB+, in-app and online. You can also, I'm delighted to say, watch the show. Just head to YouTube, search Talk, and up we pop. As the saying goes, let's talk. And as always, at this time every Friday, Saturday and Sunday, it is Dolan's Dispatch. Amid all of the noise around Andy Burnham and the battle for the Labour leadership and a political beauty contest which is turning increasingly ugly, for me, the big story of the week was a brave member of the public bursting the Westminster bubble and speaking for millions when he berated the Chancellor Rachel Reeves whilst driving his van out of a petrol station. This man's name is Lee, and here's what happened.
We're going to get arrested. We've got English flags on here, Rachel. We're going to get arrested. You're ruining the country. Get Keir Starmer out. Look, England flags. You're useless. Labour parties are useless.
I love our country. And one of the things about our country is good manners. Not very British.
I love our country. One of the great things about our country is good manners. Not very British. What an insult. What an obnoxious response from the Chancellor of the Exchequer, who had to encounter someone that lives in the real world, someone that is subject to the damage of her ruinous policies. Now, in a Talk Breakfast exclusive, I'm delighted to say that I spoke to this man, Lee, and what a guy he is. Now, we'll talk about that viral video, what happened at that petrol station this week, but in my view, what happened there with Lee, an ordinary, hard-working family man, and Rachel Reeves, was a beautiful example of people power. And based upon the reaction of Rachel Reeves, a woman who's never knowingly told the truth about her professional past, she reacted in a way that was typical of the governing elite of this country. Her reaction was sneering, ungracious, even questioning this man's Britishness. I don't think that's very British. Now, for an elected politician to weaponise the national identity of a citizen is an extraordinary insult. It's arrogant, it's obnoxious, it's chilling, and it's deeply wrong. But that's what happens when the pen-pushing lanyard class, who have never done a real day's work in their life, are confronted with reality and confronted with real people like Lee. Rachel Reeves, an elected politician confronted by an understandably angry voter who, like millions, is dealing with high inflation, eye-watering prices at the pumps and in the supermarket, someone that's afraid to switch on the heater without getting a second mortgage, someone whose company may be laying off people or cancelling investment or even going under as a result of her economic policies. Policies which have amounted to a war on business. No wonder Lee is so angry. And no wonder he gave her a piece of his mind. So I asked Lee whether he'd like to appear on Talk Breakfast, which is, I've got to tell you, one of the fastest growing shows in all UK media. Our numbers are through the roof. And I think it's happening because we have one focus, which is the truth. So I managed to get hold of Lee's phone number. We had a long chat and it was a fascinating conversation. I said, Lee, do you want to come on the show and speak to my army of viewers and listeners? And he said he would love to. But understandably, he doesn't want to become a famous man. He doesn't want to become a celebrity. And putting his family and his livelihood first, he decided that the best thing for me to do is to convey his thoughts and for me to tell you on his behalf why he said what he did to the Chancellor. And Lee told me that he's sick and tired of politicians who do not inhabit the real world and who do not feel the consequences of their actions and of their policies. He said, Mark, they don't see what we see. As people from overseas who have contributed nothing to the country are accommodated in council estates across the country. He said these folk from overseas, via immigration, via open borders, are just parachuted into working class communities the length and breadth of the land. He said, Mark, we go through this on a daily basis. We experience it. This is our life, and they are untouched by these policies. He said that politicians do not see the end result of what happens as a result of the policies that he thinks are ruining the country. And he talks about mass migration impacting communities like his. He also told me on the phone, it was a lovely long chat. He was in his van. I was at home just preparing the show for this weekend. And he said, Mark, there are young people in his neighbourhood who are afraid to go out at night for fear of their safety. And it's because of mass immigration. Now, I don't think that Lee needed to come on the show this morning because I think he's made his contribution. I think he's done his bit. And that viral video of him at a petrol station, that feels like a moment for the country. And I thought it was fantastic. And I thought it was hilarious when Lee said to Rachel Reeves, are you going to arrest me because I've got a flag of this country on my van? Are you going to arrest me, Rachel? With that remark, Lee revealed what so many of us feel, which is that this country has become so authoritarian, so illiberal, and Lee, like many others, feel it's now a crime to love your country and to fly the flag. It seems that the fashionable thing to do for the lanyard class is to wave the flags of other countries like Palestine and Ukraine. Well, Lee loves Britain. Lee feels that Labour are destroying the country. Lee wants an end to illegal immigration and low-level, low-quality mass immigration. Lee wants sensible energy policies and a decent life for anyone that, like him, works hard, gets up in the morning and contributes to the unstoppable powerhouse that is the great British economy. Now, Rachel Reeves will demonise someone like Lee, question his Britishness, question his manners. Well, I'll go the other way. I consider Lee to be a hero because he speaks for millions. He's a patriot. And more than that, he's right. 0344 499 1000. It was one of the great privileges to have a phone conversation with Lee. And I'd like to thank a man called Scott, who knows Lee and helped hook me up with him. And I'm glad that Lee didn't come on, because, yes, I would have got a viral video and it would have been a Talk Breakfast exclusive. But I've got what I needed from Lee, which is a clear message, which is this country's not working. And it's broken, and it's working at odds with the people. Those who govern us are there to look out for us, to benefit us, to support us, to encourage us. And instead, what do? They are pushing us down and importing millions from elsewhere who they give a VIP treatment to. Louise is in Kent. Good morning, Louise.
Good morning, Mark. Well, I have to say I'm a bit floored because I hadn't rung up to answer about it. They asked me would I respond to your dispatch.
Well, yeah.
I think I can, because one thing I want to say is I feel that what these elites, in inverted commas, don't quite understand. They don't understand what it's like for us on the ground. So what I was going to talk about was going back to work, and I think this is another area where actually they just don't get it. Because, it's very simple to go back to work, get off benefits. It's not that easy, particularly if you've had a mental health problem. And I was off work for 20 years, and when I wanted to go back to work, which I was desperate to do, having lost my career with physio, of course, I went back to work. I had no skills whatsoever, nothing. I had to learn those.
And you had a gap, and you had a gap in your CV, which made it harder.
Well, yes, and people don't want you when you've had a mental health problem. That's the other thing. They just don't want you. But, you see, what they don't understand, they think it's so simple to go out and get a job. Also, people today think, get a job, I want to do this, want to do that. Actually, no, if you've never worked, the first thing you've got to do is be able to deal with just going to work. You don't want to be worrying about the job. You want to be able to go turn up on time, cope with sick leave, cope with booking your holidays a year ahead, which maybe you've never had. How to deal with difficult situations at work, what to do if you get to work and you don't feel well enough to stay there. All of those things you have to learn how to do. And we're not teaching young people that. That's what the advantages of having a job. I mean, I did Christmas posting. It was my very first job for one Christmas at 16. I then did a Christmas stint at Harrods in the toy department. Wonderful. When I was training. They don't get this. There's lots of other things. It's not just like getting... And they don't understand how we live.
Well, Louise, I remember your story.
Basis.
I remember your story. And when you were younger, you had a severe, severe mental illness. We're not talking here about having a bad day or the blues or ADHD. Serious condition. And you told me that although it was tough, getting back to the world of work and off the pills actually changed your life.
It did. I'm still struggling. I have to do every day, I have to do lots of things to keep well, which is exactly, what's happened. I have to do that. But that's because I've had 40 years of trying to manage all of this. And I'm still fighting and still doing really well. But I know for me that I have to eat properly, I have to sleep, I have to have something that I really enjoy doing every day, lots of variety. If I can keep that going, then I do well. If I lose any one of those things, that's where I land up in trouble.
You manage that, and obviously work is a big part of it. Louise, what did you make of my conversation with Lee and Dolan's dispatch today, where Lee has explained that the reason why he berated the Chancellor is because he feels that they don't know what we're going through, that immigrants are parachuted into council estates, the cost of living, inflation. That's why he had a go at her. What did you make of all of that?
Well, I think he's absolutely right. And one of the things I wish more than anything, and I've worked really hard in mental health, I work with staff, I work with service development to get that voice over for people who actually use the services so that people understand what it really feels like. And I do think after that talk you had, there is an element where they almost need to be talking to clued up people what it's actually like for people living in this through the government and the trouble through in their lives. But the trouble is, all the government, everything else, they come up with all sorts of policies, like putting multi-housing occupancy in streets with ordinary living people. And they don't understand what happens then in those streets, putting the camps somewhere which affects everybody. And even if nothing happens, people get frightened. They need to work with that. They need to hear that and have people there who are eloquent, like the chap you spoke to, who helps people understand what this actually feels like, so that when they design policies, when they do all of this, you know, that's it.
Well, then they're mindful of it. I think at the moment, Louise, they don't care because they're not impacted. And what should happen is we should have homes of multiple occupancy in Hampstead and in Islington, and then things would change very, very quickly. Migrant hotels in leafy North London would do the trick. Louise, I wish we had longer, but have an excellent weekend and more power to you with your daily efforts to get through life. And you're a star, and we really appreciate your clear message, which is that for most people, work is the answer. It's good for society, it's good for families, and it's good for the economy. My thanks to Louise, my thanks to Lee and our conversation this week. A true legend. And who knows, there may come a point when he feels ready to come on air, and the first place he'll come is Talk Breakfast. So much more to come. 9:18. Is Andy Burnham the answer for Britain?
The Crown is facing its gravest test in decades, and the royalty from Talk is your front row seat. With royal reputations under pressure and probing questions about public trust, we unpack every twist and revelation with the biggest names in the business. From the throne room at Buckingham Palace to a mansion in Montecito, we follow every royal ripple. Never miss a moment of The Crown in crisis. Subscribe to the royalty from Talk on the app or wherever you get your podcasts.
I've got some breaking news here. The Crowborough Army Training Camp could hold male asylum seekers all the way until 2030. After the Home Office claimed it would only be for 12 months. Not much ambition involved in that, is there, in terms of solving the migrant crisis?
Absolutely, and the way that the Labour government gaslit the public when the migrants were first moved in there, saying, you know, you guys are absolutely being mad. Crowborough is a quiet, leafy town in East Sussex. These people, you can see, have been pushed to their absolute limit. They're not the types that you usually see protesting about this sort of thing. But that town has been absolutely desecrated.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
You are listening to Talk Breakfast, 9:21, with me live in the studio, one of the finest political journalists in the country, the political editor at The Sun on Sunday, Kate Ferguson. Good morning, Kate.
That's a lovely introduction, thanks.
Well, every
Music
word
to my ears.
is true. Because, listen, what we come to The Sun on Sunday for is for those royal scoops. What's your latest reading of the race for Makerfield?
Oh, well, I mean, Andy Burnham, I think we have to assume, is the favourite. He's a big character there, very well known. And, I mean, there's this whole ironic thing where he's almost running on exactly the same ticket as the Reform candidate. Vote for me, kick Starmer out of number 10. So, Andy Burnham, I think, is the hot favourite there, but it will be a tough by-election contest.
It's a tough one because actually, based upon the results of the May local elections, it's now reform heartland. But obviously Andy Burnham, he's got the star power, the name recognition, and it's very rare for voters to know that they will likely decide the incumbent of number 10 based upon how they vote.
Exactly. It's probably the most historically significant by-election we've had, maybe in history. How they vote, they're voting not just for their local MP, but potentially for the next Prime Minister. So it gives them a lot of power. And it's interesting as we cover this by-election, because when Andy Burnham had his official launch yesterday, and when he's taking questions from journalists, it's not about the local potholes. It's not about the local bin collection, as by-elections usually are. It's about what's your stance on tax? Are you going to stick to Labour's manifesto if you get into number 10? He's been quizzed as a Prime Minister in waiting, not really a by-election candidate.
No, and he's already finding out that national politics are quite different to local politics, aren't they? So, for example, he's rode back on that idea that we shouldn't be in hock to the bond markets, changed his mind about that. He's also changed his mind about female-only spaces, having previously said it was a minority of people that thought that women should have their own space. And of course we've had the Brexit U-turn as well. So notwithstanding that, he's cleaning house, isn't he?
Exactly.
But it's not a good look.
Well, the thing is that if Andy Burnham does get elected and comes to Westminster, he's meant to be here to change politics for good, he says, tear up the normal political establishment and order of things and be big, bold and radical. But it's interesting because in this by-election we're also seeing how flexible he is, how happily he is to shed clothes, shed political skin, shed policies if it makes them more electable. I mean, actually, that's been the story of Andy Burnham's very long and very successful political career. So yes, ditching the criticism of bond markets, ditching the trans stuff, ditching the various other policies, his Brexit stuff, I'm just trying to remember them. So it's interesting.
It's hard to keep up, isn't it?
It is hard to keep up, so it's interesting to see, I'm interested to see what we're left with. What is this big, bold, radical leftist agenda we're left with if you're cleaning each of the barnacles off the boat, as it were?
That's it. I've got your headline for tomorrow. Bend it like Burnham.
Very nice. You could be a sun writer.
I try. King of the North becomes king of the U-turn. And he needs to shake that off because he doesn't want to be perceived as Starmer 2.0.
Yes, look, Andy Burnham is more popular, a bit more charismatic than Keir Starmer. There's no doubt in that. But he's got to tread a funny line here. He's being brought in, if he wins this by-election, if he's elected leader by Labour MPs, he's being brought in to be more radical, but he cannot afford to scare the crucial markets. If our cost of borrowing already sky high, taxes sky high, guilt levels terrible for the country. So if he comes in, if he starts repeating those old lines that we're in hock to the bond markets too much, you will find the markets move and they will wobble, and that could be the end of his premiership before it even really gets started. So he's got to do this stuff on tax and spend in particular, while I think maintaining some kind of credibility, authenticity, a bit of what's left of what was meant to be big, new and radical about him in the first place.
Well, here's a question for you, and I'm not even sure someone of your capacious political knowledge has the answer. How does a Labour Prime Minister, how does a Labour Prime Minister achieve radical change without money?
This is the big problem for Andy Burnham if he comes in, for every Labour Prime Minister, and has been the big problem for Keir Starmer, because what is it that Labour... I was talking to someone about this last night. What is it that Labour MPs mean when they say these vague words, big, bold, change, radical? They all mean spending money in some way. That's what they always mean. It's different for... Let's talk about the Tories. When we talk about what's red meat for the Tory party, you might talk about immigration controls. Yeah. You could talk about cutting taxes. You could talk about cutting spending. They just come from a different political philosophy. But with Labour, it really is about what you can spend your money on. So that, I think, really is the problem, has been the problem for Keir Starmer, is people have felt not just that he's a bit boring, a bit awkward, not charismatic, but he's failed to deliver on his promise of change. But why? Because the country's pretty broke and he's not got the money to do it. And there is a danger for Andy Burnham that he builds up expectations of what he can do. But if he comes into number 10, he will be punched in the face by the same harsh economic realities, which is taxes are at their all-time high post-war. the cost of our borrowing and our spending is high because interest is high on our borrowing, and this thing called growth is still quite elusive. We had all right growth figures, but it looks like they're going to fall again. And inflation, I mean, this is the big thing down the line. Inflation's going to run so hot later in the year. Could be looking at 10% food inflation.
Which is devastating. And you're right to mention inflation, which corrected down, but that looks to, this week, looks to have been a stay of execution before it inevitably rises. I mean, this is obviously a major headache for any incoming Prime Minister, Andy Burnham. He also, I think, is this true, is going to probably stick with Shabana Mahmood's efforts to make indefinite leave to remain more difficult.
Yes, I mean, he's been letting it known that he is quite pro her reforms, actually, which is another potential U-turn, because previously he's echoed Angela Rayner's criticisms of it, that they're un-British. It feels like behind the scenes, Team Burnham and Team Shabana have, if not done some kind of formal deal, certainly reached some kind of agreement, accord, some kind of understanding behind the scenes. I was talking to somebody very senior in the government yesterday about it, and I think the thing is with the Home Secretary is it's such a tricky cabinet position. So often they have to resign, so often there's scandal and failure in the Home Office. Shabana, so far, none of that's happened. Her policies are popular with the country. A recent poll showed they're actually popular with the Labour membership too. So
Labour voters.
Labour voters, sorry.
And not the membership, and that's a kind of strange one, isn't it?
Well, I think that it's not as unpopular with the membership as some people had assumed, actually.
Right.
Because I think they just got to a point where everyone knows you really need to do something about borders to see off that reform threat if you have any hope of it.
Yeah.
But so the thing is does he keep Shabana in as Home Sec? Because she's actually doing an all right job there, and she's not yet fallen over a banana skin.
And perhaps he might like to have a government of all the talents. Do you think that will be his approach? Do you think that it will be, supposedly on paper, a radical administration, but with a broad church?
I think you will see a big turnover in cabinet. He will keep some people, but I think you are going to see the rise of Manchester MPs, soft left MPs. I think you'll see Lucy Powell promoted. You'll see Ed Miliband figure very largely. You'll probably see Louise Hay make a comeback. Angela Rayner brought back in. So you will, I think, see quite a group of leftists around the top table and a bit of a clearing out of the old guard of Keir.
So it would be the view of The Sun on Sunday that Andy Burnham is likely our next Prime Minister.
I think if he wins this by-election, there's no doubt he's likely our next Prime Minister.
And timeline-wise, he could be in by the autumn, or might we be waiting until next year before Starmer leaves?
It's all like a bit unknown, this. There's been various kind of speculation about it. Basically, if Andy Burnham wins this by-election next month, he's doing it for one thing, to challenge Keir Starmer and become leader. So the question is just how long does it take him to do that? I suspect he doesn't really hang around. He tries to get those numbers, challenge him straight away. Becomes then a matter of does PM fight it, or does he set out a timetable? What timetable might they agree? The hard stop really is Labour Party conference, which is the very end of September in Liverpool, and I suspect you're going to see a new leader for then.
Wow, that's fascinating. And then finally, before we let you go, this is a difficult question to answer, but do you think there's even a small chance that if Andy Burnham becomes Prime Minister, he'll seek a mandate and go to the country?
Well, there are some people saying that he should do that because, you'll probably have a boom in popularity when you first come in, and you can then have a mandate for more radical change because you'd be elected. But it would go down like a bucket of cold stick with Labour MPs. They do not want a snap election. So many of them would lose their seats. I think if Andy even hinted at a snap election, he may struggle to find those 81 Labour MPs to nominate him for leader. So I don't think he'll lean into that anytime soon.
You think it's unlikely that he'll go to the country?
Unlikely that he will suggest it now. I think it becomes a question of once he's in post, does the calls become deafening?
The Burnham bounce.
Exactly.
Let me tell you that every Sunday we get Saturday. I was being elegant for a second there. Every Saturday we get the Ferguson bounce. Luckily, we do love having you in, and it's always fascinating to have this conversation. Kate Ferguson, political editor at The Sun on Sunday. Grab your copy of the paper tomorrow and also read online as well. The Sun newspaper and The Sun on Sunday, #1 for political exclusives. Is Andy Burnham the answer for this country? 9:32, your call's next.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
You are listening to Talk Breakfast, and I'm excited to say that Retro Rewind is coming in just a moment. That's where we look back at a classic year and have a bit of nostalgia. Dean, what is the clue today for our Retro Rewinder? There you go. Well, this is it. It is the year in which we had the most memorable 24 hours in UK history. What year was that? The most memorable 24 hours in UK history. Is Andy Burnham the answer for Britain? Herbie is in London. Hi, Herbie.
Yes, good morning, Mark. Of course, he's not the answer to the problem. He's going to make it even worse, I should think. He may be the Manchester people's ideal, but he's not the rest of the country's ideal, I don't think. We do not need any more socialist policies to get this country up and running again. We need something that's got a vision of guiding us in the right direction, not in the direction of disaster.
Well, I think that's a really fair point. I can't disagree with that. Herbie, I've got a feeling that Burnham will be found out if he becomes Prime Minister. I think he'll be out of his depth because being the Mayor of Greater Manchester, that's not the same as Prime Minister.
Oh, no, nowhere near it. I mean, so we've already learnt this because of Sir Keir Starmer. We found out the truth, haven't we? He doesn't really know how to run the office of Prime Minister, or he hasn't got any idea or clue. Plus, the man is, I think, also helping in taking us back into the EU, which people do not want.
They don't want it. Herbie, we'll catch up soon. I wish we had longer, but I've got a full switchboard, and I want Dean Spencer to be happy with me today. We're going to get through those calls. Every day I come in at 6 a.m, and Dean is like, calls. Text. Voice notes. Kieran is in East Yorkshire. Morning, Kieran.
Morning, guys. How are we today? You well?
I'm very, very well. Have you got bank holiday weekend plans?
I have. I'm going to spend it with the family this weekend, but I'm also off for a few more days after that as well.
I'm glad to hear it. Well deserved. Now, Kieran, can we talk about illegal immigration? Because that's the number one issue, I would argue, facing the country.
Yeah, absolutely is. I mean, you know, my wife will probably shake her head because it's all I talk about at the moment, but I feel with illegal immigration at the moment, we allow people into the country to claim, yet if I don't work, I don't earn.
I know.
I think that people that are given benefits should be essentially working for a minimum wage amount. So if it's £100, it should be divided over the national minimum wage, and then they should be made to work that amount of hours.
Well, Kieran, there are always jobs that can be done. You could be removing litter from the streets, so maybe getting rid of chewing gum. You could be painting over graffiti, couldn't you? You could be watering plants.
Absolutely, make the country look beautiful like it used to do when people had pride in what they, you know, where they walked and what they saw. I think if people want to come here to get stuff, I think you've got to put in to get out.
Kieran, have a great weekend with the family and enjoy the extra couple of days after that as well. We'll speak soon. David is in Aberdeen, one of the most beautiful cities in the country, of course, the Granite City. How are you, David?
I'm good, Mark. Thank you very much.
Well, what do you think about Labour? I mean, do you think that a new Prime Minister is going to rescue everything and we'll all be really happy?
No, I don't know they will. I think we've gone too far now. I think we're actually done. I really do. I'm 60, right? I'm 64 this year, and I'm worried about my retirement, of what's going to happen to me.
Yeah.
Am I going to go into sheltered housing with a minimum wage? I'm going to be drip-fed, right? I'll try to get through to you yesterday. Right, the migrants are coming from France, are coming from everywhere, right? Now, France is a beautiful country. I've done a lot of fishing in France, right? Their way of life is great. Now, why aren't the migrants staying there? Why aren't they staying?
Because they get, obviously, you know, don't you, David? They get more when they come here.
Yeah. Well, why don't we all leave this little country and go to France and have a better life?
That's a great idea. David, by the way, before I let you go, it's interesting that you've called me because many people in Scotland are concerned about immigration. This is not only an issue in England and Wales.
No, it's true. And I'm from Aberdeen. It's the oil capital of the world. Well, of Great Britain. You know that, don't you?
Massive.
Right? So Aberdeen's the granite city. We produce granite for all over the world. The houses are beautiful. It's a beautiful city, right? It's on its knees at the moment, Aberdeen. The high street's like closed right down. all it is vape shops, barbers, and guess where they're from? They're not from here.
Overseas.
Yeah. Now, I looked into this. Like, for a normal shop, it's £40,000 rates, right, to have a shop in the high street. 40,000 for your business rates. Well, where are these vape shops getting £40,000 from? And a barber to produce just for your rates?
Lenny, it's a scam and they are criminals. Brilliant call. Sorry, David, it's a scam. They are criminals. Call me again soon, David. I need to get to Lenny in Ashford. Morning, Lenny.
Good morning. Nice to have a nice chat with you, mate.
You too. What about Andy Burnham? Is he the new Jesus Christ? Does he walk on water? Is he the second coming?
No, I believe he's a liability. And it's very simple. I speak to you as a great-grandfather who protects his family. Now, if the biggest thing in the north or throughout the country is the protection of our children. And what has happened, Burnham's record is not anything to be proud of, protecting our children from rapists and paedophiles.
Well, Lenny, you're right about that. There is definitely a question to be answered about Andy Burnham's efforts to tackle the grooming gang scandal. He will argue, he's very clear, that he did an awful lot in order to tackle this great crime, but it remains a question mark about his legacy on that one. Thank you, Lenny. Have a good weekend. Some voice notes to catch up on. This is Liam.
Hi, Mark. Liam from Accrington here. My thoughts on Stormer and Andy Burnham. They're much in the same, if you know what I mean. You know, with all the U-turns and things like that. Who the hell are they kidding?
I know. Liam, what a brilliant voice note. What about this from Stephanie?
Morning, Mark. Stephanie here from Wiltshire. Just to say, love your show.
Oh, thank you, Stephanie.
The career politicians we've got now are pretty useless, and I'll tell you why. Because 25 odd years ago, I left higher education, and I left because they were lowering the standard, and I wasn't going to lower my standard. So if you think about it, these lovely politicians we've got with degrees, they're probably, add on 20 years when I left, they're probably all in their 40s now. So they actually shouldn't have even got into university. Pretty sad, isn't it, for the country?
It is, Stephanie. Great voice note. Sean on Burnham and Labour.
Mark, morning, mate. Sean of Cheshire. Listening to the everyone else talking about the King of the North. Now, here's a point. Bear in mind that the stated aim of nearly everybody in the Labour Party, whether they say it out loud or they mumble it behind closed doors, is to rejoin their perfect empire. Now, if anybody believes a word Burnham says after what Starmer's done and his government so far with what they've said and what they've done, remember, they've done the exact opposite to everything they said they'd do, and everything they said they'd do, they haven't done. Anybody in Makerfield who falls for his claptrap because he says he's not really going to join the EU, you know, there's a saying, you deserve the government that you vote for.
Well done, Sean. Brilliant voice note. Bridget went to Dublin recently.
Good morning, Mark. It's Bridget here in France. Great show as always. Just got back from Dublin, Mark. I was over there visiting my son and his lovely wife. They're heading off to Brazil next Friday permanently, as she's Brazilian, and I wholeheartedly encourage it. Dublin and Ireland are not my town and city and country anymore. It's absolutely shocking. They're overrun by migration, just like the UK. I don't know what's happening to our countries, Mark. But, for example, my son was telling me a beautiful town, Lisdoonvarna, I'm sure you've heard of it, has more migrants living in the town now than they have local people. And that was a great tourist attraction one time. So I don't believe the lefties are going to do anything about the small boats. I don't believe the government in Ireland are going to do anything about the small boats. And I do believe there's going to be more civil unrest, sadly. Anyway, Mark, have a great weekend. Bye for now.
Bridget, thank you. I do think Ireland, which is the country of birth of my parents, is a warning to the world about open borders. It's devastating to see what's happened there. Cindy has left us a voice note, and it's about the fact that in the course of the grooming gang scandal, teenage girls were arrested by cops. Here's Cindy.
Hi, Mark. This is Cindy in Pigeon, Michigan. About the officer who arrested the teenage girl after she'd been assaulted. He needs to be sacked and brought up on charges. This is disgusting. Great show. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Cindy in Michigan in the United States. We're very global now, and it's interesting. The Americans are looking at what's happening in the UK. They are scratching their heads. They're horrified to see how badly this country is being run, not just by Labour, by previous administrations too. Here's a voice note from Wayne.
Morning, Mark. It's Wayne from Erdington in Birmingham, mate. There we go again. More Afghanis, more rapes. When are the government going to learn? They're never going to learn. They really are not going to learn. I'm absolutely disgusted that this nonsense is still going on now, and it will continue to go on unless we punish these people. I mean, look at the case earlier on this week. He let off them rapists who filmed it on his phone because they had good behaviour. I mean, are you joking me? These judges should be struck off. We need to get them out the system. Keep up the good work, Mr. Dolan. Ta-ra, mucker. Have a good weekend, mate.
Thank you, Wayne. I really appreciate that voice note as well. Rosa in Yorkshire, if Andy Burnham's the answer for Britain, we're asking the wrong question. Christine has messaged the show. We're talking about staycations in the UK because the Chancellor's looking at a tax raid which could cost holidaymakers £300 if they take a break in the UK. Christine says, hi, Mark. My friend has come to Southend for 3 nights. 348 quid. No restaurant, no bar, just a bed. Premier Inn. Love the new glasses. Love listening to you. You make my day. Well, Christine, you make my day, and everyone that participates in this show makes my day, because what are we here to do? Pursue the truth and get your opinions on the radio and on the telly. 9:45, Talk Breakfast. Lots more to come.
Is facing its gravest test in decades, and the royalty from Talk is your front row seat. With royal reputations under pressure and probing questions about public trust, we unpack every twist and revelation with the biggest names in the business. From the throne room at Buckingham Palace to a mansion in Montecito, we follow every royal ripple. Never miss a moment of The Crown in crisis. Subscribe to the royalty from Talk on the app or wherever you get your podcasts.
I've got some breaking news here. The Crowborough Army.
Across the UK. On DAB+. On your smart speaker. On your smart TV. And on your side. This is Talk.
Folks, I want to thank you for your company this morning. I'm back for Talk Breakfast tomorrow at 6 a.m. And actually, I'm lucky enough to have a very busy couple of weeks here on Talk, because next week I'm going to be Ian Collins, 1 till 4. And the following week, I shall be looking after Drive for Kevin O'Sullivan from 4 till 7, of course, keeping Weekend Breakfast going as well. So thanks for the calls, the texts. Do stay in touch with me. Live in the studio now for Retro Rewind is Virgin Radio's Steve Denyer. Hello, Steve.
Hello. I just want to report that I haven't got my legs out underneath this table, or maybe I have.
He might be lying.
Maybe I have. How are you doing this morning?
Very, very well indeed. Well, look, the weather is very nice, of course, and it's a very good time to stick on Virgin Radio, have some tunes whilst you flip the shrimp on the barbie.
We've got the Huey show, Huey Morgan, going out 10 a.m. this morning, tomorrow as well at 10 a.m. Also, TFI Unplugged, the very final Channel 4 episode, aired last night. It's a really good one. I don't know if you caught up with the Kylie Minogue documentary on Netflix.
I was fascinated by it.
Last night we looked back into the 90s to every single Kylie appearance, and she sings some of the classic songs. There's an interview with Chris, which is just TV gold. So there's retro stuff. Dolly Parton pops up in this episode. We've got Tom Fletcher, who's written all the songs for Paddington the musical, and he came in during the week with his keyboard and performed a brilliant track called Marmalade. That's within the TFI episode. So it's really, really good stuff. So it's on our YouTube page, Virgin Radio UK. You can catch up on it on the 4 player, the Channel 4 player.
Now, that guy that's written songs for the Paddington movie, he's from a boy band, isn't he?
He is, McFly.
McFly. So it goes to show that these lads in these boy bands, and girls as well, a lot of them are more talented than we give them credit for, actually.
He has written hundreds and hundreds of songs, and he said the trouble is, he said the Paddington the musical is so in demand that no one can get tickets for it. So Danny from McFly, you know, his boy band mate, phoned him up and said, could you get me in? He said, look, I wrote the songs, but I can't get anybody in. So he's flying, and as soon as you hear the bit of music, you'll be like, I want to see this.
Dolly Parton. I don't think Dolly Parton gets enough credit.
She is an extremely wise person, like a business person. There's Dolly's Splash World. There's all kinds of different ventures that she's got into. She's a legend. She never looked better than the clip you'll see on TFI last night.
Well, the thing about Dolly, for me, and I need to get it out there, that people don't realise what a songwriter she is.
Yes.
We know about that killer voice, but she wrote 9 to 5, Jolene.
Yeah.
I Will Always Love You.
Of course she did.
It was one of the biggest songs of all time.
That was covered by...
Whitney
Houston. You know your stuff.
Oh, I know myself. Well, my fun fact about, and we will get to the year, but I think it's worth saying, which is Dolly. So, as you say, an incredible artist, had a very long marriage to that lovely man who only passed about a year ago, very sadly. She's such a fun person, huge amount for charity as well. Did you know that she's tried to give like every American kid a book when they're born?
Yeah, I heard about that.
So anyway, we love Dolly.
Amazing person.
But what a businesswoman, as you mentioned, right? So here's my story.
Okay.
She's a struggling musical artist at the beginning of her career, relative unknown.
Mm-hmm.
She's singing some songs, she writes a few. And she's written a song called I Will Always Love You.
Mm-hmm.
And she's trying to get someone to record it. Elvis Presley agrees to record it. So at that point, she's won the lottery.
Right.
So Elvis Presley's going to cover my song.
Yeah.
That's a guaranteed number 1.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to be a top songwriter.
Mm-hmm.
So the day before he goes in to record her song, she gets a call from his manager, the Colonel. And he says, by the way, Elvis wants the publishing on this. That means that he would own the song in perpetuity if he records it. And she said, I can't give away my song. And he said, that's the deal with Elvis. If Elvis sings your song, he gets the publishing.
Right.
And she had to think about this for a couple of hours. And she said, no,
brilliant.
I'm not doing it.
Isn't that brilliant?
And she refused.
Brave as well.
And so Elvis does not record the song. Well, that song has made her personally £10 million, and it's one of the biggest singles of all time. So, good decision.
A businesswoman through and through. Amazing. I didn't know that. That's incredible. So
that is my Dolly story.
All right, can I take you back to the year? Literally, I heard you talking about this earlier. The most dramatic 24 hours in UK history, OK? And it all started with this announcement. Listen to this back in this year.
Breaking news we're getting from the PA Newswire that there's been reports of an explosion outside Liverpool Street Station. That, of course, in the East End of London. It's the bordering area. You'll be maybe familiar with the Swiss building known as the Gherkin, which, of course, has been a familiar landmark throughout London for the past sort of couple of years or so. That's very close to Liverpool Street Station. They're getting this reports of an explosion from the British Transport Police.
Just the most grave day in our history.
Yes, so this was obviously the 7/7 attacks, and that little clip, if you're listening to it, if you're watching it, sends kind of chills down your spine, because what we knew that morning at 8:50, there'd been power surges on the underground network, and there were all kind of rumours that it could be an electrical fault or a tube's overheated or whatever. But over the next couple of hours, we learned of explosions. You saw walking wounded. A couple of hours later, you see this bus that's literally been ripped apart. And I think that's when we all thought, OK, this is really, really serious. And something dreadful, literally the worst UK attack on our soil, one of the worst in history. 24 hours before that happened, we had the Olympics announcement. So the country was literally on, cloud nine. Take a look at this, 24 hours before.
The International Olympic Committee has the honor of announcing that the Games of the 30th Olympiad in 2012 are awarded to the city of London.
There you go. Well,
Talk about emotions running
You
high.
have a sad story, but you have a happy story. And
Yeah.
it's the bank holiday weekend, and I'm so glad that you decided to play that clip second rather than first, because that is the bank holiday vibes. It was the Olympics.
Yeah.
We won it. We weren't expecting to win it,
No,
were
we weren't, because everyone said Paris would. We were up against Madrid, New York, Moscow and Paris. There were 4 votes in it, and London won it. And literally, it went on to be one of our greatest successes, I think, because the 2012 Olympics.
It was a huge success.
Everybody loved it. I mean, there was lots of negative press before it. People saying we're not ready for it.
Can't afford it.
900 million people around the world watched that opening ceremony. You know, the Danny Boyle.
Directed by Danny Boyle, the film director.
Together.
It was the Olympics in London were perfect.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say they were great or nearly. It was. Can you remember a bad thing about it?
No. I can't remember. I think it was the summer when the nation was at its most proud.
The weather was good.
Yeah.
The events themselves were competitive, and there was fair play.
Yeah.
There were no scandals. There was no doping. The world of showbiz and sport collided. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, and you had that amazing thing. Do you remember? I mean, I'm all about the opening ceremony because I love that. But do you remember the Queen, our late Queen, doing the James Bond scene where she jumps out of the plane? And I mean, it was just incredible stuff. And you felt that the nation felt really proud. And the rest of the world was looking at us. And I think it's one of our greatest moments.
I think it really is. And it was a time when the country was exuberant and positive. And what we need to do is get back to that, which I'm sure we will, because things come in cycles.
Yeah.
But it was a time of national self-confidence. By the way, I think there were 2 people that we should credit with that Olympics victory to get the Olympics.
Yeah.
Prince William.
Uh-huh.
David Beckham.
Yes, indeed, because they ran the campaign, didn't they?
David worked tirelessly. And I know he's got his critics, but I thought he deserved that knighthood for the Olympics alone.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm fully behind you, I mean, what a year. What a year. If you know what the year is, let us know. You probably do know by now. Can I take you to the 13th of June in this year? Interestingly enough, a date that it's kind of spawned a Netflix documentary, which I'm going to show you right now. This is the date of the Michael Jackson verdict in California. And this programme drops on June the 1st. Have a look.
And this is Mr. Jackson's main area. Are there any secret rooms?
Police right now searching Michael Jackson's Neverland Ranch.
This is part of an ongoing investigation.
He's the most famous man in the world, being accused of the most heinous crime in the world.
An arrest warrant for Mr. Jackson has been issued on multiple counts of child molestation.
Michael Jackson's trial has finally begun.
I walked into what looked like a circus.
Oh, my goodness.
Incredible, isn't it? And I remember, day by day, it really was like watching a soap opera. I think one of the news channels even had actors playing Michael Jackson, the people in the courtroom, every evening, so you could see the action being acted out. After 32 hours of deliberation over 7 days, the jury found Jackson not guilty on all 10 counts. But you had the scenes of, do you remember when he didn't show up?
Yeah.
And the judge said, "I want you here," and he turned up in his pyjamas. And there's the other morning when he turned up and he got on top of one of the cars and started dancing and stuff. It was a circus, wasn't it?
Yes, and almost a freak show. Isn't it amazing, briefly, that when he died, he was effectively broke?
Yeah.
This is the richest man in pop.
Yes.
And yet he was such a spender and a very, very tortured man. And of course, his legacy has been tainted by all of that.
They reckon the Martin Bashir documentary, which was in 2003, was the beginning of his demise. And of course, he passed away years after this. But this new Verdict show will be on Netflix. It's looking back on this year. I've also got something that I found from our vaults. What a handsome man. Take a look at this, a man with promise and prospects.
Tell me.
Before I did stuff on the telly, I was one of those people that would chat to you in a queue. I'm very like that. And some people love it, and you hear, other people think, why is this man talking to me? This weirdly tall man with glasses. But now, because I do a bit of stuff on the telly, some people kind of make overtures and they say, hey, what was it like meeting the tallest woman in the world? Or where's Nedge? You know, everyone know about Balls of Steel.
Who is that loser?
You see, I thought Balls of Steel was a DVD I used to own. I didn't know it was a game show that...
Well, I hosted a show on Channel 4, ran to 3 series, 2 Christmas specials.
Look at you.
Called Balls of Steel, and it was hidden camera comedy.
Yeah.
And it was quite popular at the time.
And really ahead of its time, wasn't it? It kind of spawned
I hope so.
a whole heap of other shows.